And then B. Yes, you are.
Thank you very much. Okay. Well, for March 11th, 2024, we do have a guest this evening. I'm just going to raise it. Regarding the holiday market. We all hand out for that. And you can do anytime you'd like and introduce the program.
Thank you, board members, and Mayor, for having me here to discuss this. I created an organizational strategic plan for a proposed Williamsville outdoor holiday market. I'll just give you some background on myself first. While I am the resource coordinator, administrator for the recreation department of the county member, I am not here participating on that level. Just want to make sure that that's understood. I'm here as a so I think some of you know I grew up in the village, so I spent a lot of time in our parks, right here in the village, and I've done a lot of work in the past with the WBA. I've organized a lot of events or assisted in organizing a lot of events right here in the village. Recently, as part of my experience working for the town, for the last 4 years, I have managed and organized the holiday market for the town of Amherst. That was a project that came out of COVID. When a lot of the stores were shut down or people couldn't go out and shop in stores, we decided to host, because was 2020. It was that December we hosted our first holiday market at BNHD. And it was very, very successful. We decided to bring it back to BNHD the following year. The year after, we hosted it at the Northtown Center. It's always remained outdoors, which does present some challenges. And then again, we returned this year as Northtown Center outdoors.
What's the date of that?
This year, I want to say it was
In December.
after the for Christmas. We've had it early from and mid month. So, and really that really has not affected attendance or better participation. If people are going to come early. We've had right around 600 to about 1,100 guests.
How many
at
vendors?
various markets. Between 35 and 50. The last market, not this year, but the year previous at Northtown, they had close to 50, including food trucks, artists, craftspeople, farmers. Not too many farmers that late in the season. So, you know, my thought was that a few years back, well, let's back up. I get a lot of feedback when I operate the market at Bassett Park, which is our once monthly market, and the towns. And a lot of the feedback I get often, you know, people get these markets confused and they think that the town runs the village market. And so they say to me, oh, you know, can't you, host another market, another holiday event like you did a few years ago? What they're referring to is the WBA, or the co-op.
The co-op.
Market.
It was the
Sorry,
co-op
co-op
market.
which I,
Industries.
yes.
Yeah,
And
there's
people
a lot
still
of fun.
say it was so much fun, you know, there's carolers there, they have a good time in the parking lot. So in kind of taking some of that feedback, I developed a strategic plan for a similar event that would be hosted. So we can just go over just kind of the sections, and this is a lot of this is based on my experience managing and organizing the best part, as well as the holiday. So the organizational plan, all the work that would have to be done prior to the actual event, vendor selection, registration. I understand that the village has their own process for obtaining and securing all of the hold harmless contracts, insurance, etc. So that would be something I'm sure it's very similar to what the town does. So that would be something we have to sort of work together on. Online registration form, I don't know if that's something you do. I did notice that the Glen Parks
Festival
does do an online registration. It's something I am familiar with and have done for events in the past, and certainly for my parks programs that are one of So just something to familiar with. Registration deadlines to advertise and advertising to potential market vendors. This is always a challenge, especially around the holidays. So oftentimes, which is why we're sitting here in March, by about July or August, I'm already done with securing my vendors for December. There is a lot of competition within the greater community to get those vendors. So it really must be done very around the season. Permitting and logistics, negotiating and obtaining necessary permits from the Village of Williamsville for hosting the event in the island. I understand that that is a process that one would work directly with the village on to obtain. And as I understand, I think you pretty much have to get all the permits for the all island rental. Is that
We did a permit for the island, there's separate permits, rent the island and then each vendor.
to pay the
permit and they're.
Okay. Arranging for portable toilet space, disposal, and recycling bins, that is not a part of the permit process. You have to coordinate, we have to coordinate that on my own as an event planner. Coordinating with local law enforcement for traffic control and security, that would be something that I would have to work on with the Amherst Police or a private.
I think actually we do that through the permit process.
Yeah.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Catherine does that.
Marketing and promotion, this is where I really kind of shine. I sort of have a way of how I market and promote on park events, and I do have quite a bit of following in that area now. I have other parks page, other municipal park pages following our park page and how we do things. And we do get great turnout from the marketing and promotion that I do online. It's just, I almost never use a post, or I do one ad for the market at Bassett Park. It's a different structure for that market, but this is a very important piece of how we would go about promoting this event in Williamsville. Because of Williamsville's location Island Park, and all of these businesses here, it does provide for more options for marketing that are more visible to the public. Collaboration with local businesses to increase online visibility. That's a lot of the same thing. Discuss workshop event at WBA meetings in the monthly market, offer incentives to participate in or sponsor the market. That's something that I have done with the WBA in the past for other events. And I know that's kind of staying on that group and working with them is very valuable in promoting my event like that. Obviously working directly with our brand, coordinate marketing and promotions. It's funny because the role that I play in the town of Amherst, I'm now sort of the 3 different titles, and one of them is not graphic designer. And so I put out all the graphics for all of our events. Vendor support, provide vendors with guidelines and regulations for setting up their booths. Typically for a market, I send that out 2 weeks prior to the event. And I'll usually hold a meeting at the location. So vendors are not surprised when they arrive. They know exactly where they're going to be going. They know it's either a assigned space or if it's unreserved. I prefer those kind of reserved so there are no gaps in case someone gets sick and can't appear. And I think that the village market does something very similar. There are gaps in the space. Establishing a communication channel for vendors to address any concerns or queries online through forums or email to me. That is something I also do with my vendors right now when I'm safety measures. Anything having to do with COVID, I'm sure that the village would let me know what procedures and protocols you require at an event, specifically for COVID. Otherwise, I usually have a hand sanitation station, or I ask vendors to have hand sanitizer at their own times. Incorporating a designated first aid station with highly visible signage. This is not something I typically do at Bassett Park, but I am the first tent. The Parks is the first tent when you walk in. And all of my vendors always know I have a fire extinguisher and a first aid kit at So they can always just let people know exactly where to go. Also the bands that play in the amphitheater know that as well. And create an emergency exit plan with a space like Island Park where there's only one entrance and exit. That would be important. Not sure if it's something that the code requires, but it is something I did consider. That would be something that I would want to incorporate in the organizational plan. So that is the rough sketch of the organizational plan. Our strategic plan would include attractions where it kind of gets really exciting. You kind of visualize what it would look like. Organizing a holiday theme, entertainment, live music, carol singing, visit from Santa, that would attract families. This portion of it is really about really casting a wide net, but also trying to make it very special at the same time. Arrange for and design a festive photo booth. I just did this at one of our park events. We did Enchanted Forest of Waltonwood Park. We had over 1,100 guests come in 3 hour span. And it was just an illuminated trail. We had 2 different stations set up, one for musicians that was illuminated, and then another selfie station. We just used twinkle lights and solar lights. It was really, really fun. So people loved it. And it was a very simple event, but to have 1,100 people come through in 3 hours was good for a first year event. We're lucky it went really well, and nobody got hurt. Offer seasonal workshops or demonstrations such as wreath making, dried flower arrangements, cookie decorating. Another thing is, inviting local cultural groups to participate and perform music or dance numbers. This also attracts a huge population of guests to events like this. Anytime we have cultural groups join our park events, we always find that the numbers rise, the guest numbers rise. And we always get positive feedback. I've never received any negative feedback or even just some positive about having cultural groups come in. And it is a great way to bring the community together. Food and beverage offerings. I've always loved the idea of trying to pair vendors together. So that's something I'd like to try at an event like this. Maybe an event that bakes, a vendor that bakes bread could be paired with one of our jam vendors, and they could provide samples with each other so you could sample both things. So that's something I'd like to work on. Ensuring ample and accessible seating areas for attendees to relax and enjoy their meals. Accessible is the key word. All of my events that I work on currently for the town are always at locations that are accessible with accessible places for people to interactive experiences, set up interactive displays or installations, lighting in particular, very important for an event like this, and encouraging attendees in participation. That might be a live stream, that might be, businesses doing their own live streams, being at the market or being at a tree lighting. And incorporating local delicacies and specialties showcases. Interactive, I skipped that. Organizing games or contests with prizes donated by participating vendors to enhance the festive atmosphere, include local community groups like Enthusiastic Foundation and Valley Boys to host trivia and other contests. Again, engaging that full community and offering them the opportunity to participate in that way will also attract more guests. Community engagement, partnering with local charities or nonprofits. This is something I would probably do with an organization like a fire company or a police and allow them to have a presence. At the same time, they're collecting for a nonprofit. Collaborating with nearby businesses to offer discounts and promotions. This goes along with the strategic part or the organizational part of meeting with the WPA and going to the businesses and letting them know about the event, how they can participate, even if they don't have a booth or a table at the market. So lots of cross promotions on this. Collecting feedback is always important. It's something I do after every one of my markets. I provide a Google form for all of the vendors and participants to share with me feedback. It was anonymous, so they can share anything, and I always tell them, even if it was really bad, please do share with me so that we can improve the organization process. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in terms of organization for something like this. The details of how we could negotiate my role in organization is where sort of my everyday job does come in. So in looking at the numbers for the permit fees, the all island rental, and the vendor fees, there's not a lot of room. And with my time, it would be very difficult for me to organize this market without some sort of accommodations being made by the village. So I'm gonna just propose two options. One would be a shared services option, which I have discussed with my executive director. That option would have to be negotiated between the village of Williamsville and county governors. So what that would look like would be a stipend provided by the village, and then I combined my market, the market at the Northtown Center, Holly Market, with this market. So it would be labeled something like, could be coined something like Holiday in the Village presented by the Village of Williamsville in a shared services bowl. That does, I think that benefits both municipalities and agencies because of obviously shared services, but also shared resources. So if we're thinking about putting in heaters and selling heaters along the path leading through the market. We have some, maybe the village has some, so it isn't all on the village. And the lack of, reduced, let's say, competition. Not that the village and the town compete, but I think that partnership would help with communication. It provides a centralized location, which we don't have, so we now, as the town of Amherst, have not had for our holiday market. We've had, PNHE, which is a great location, but it's not very central. So the village would be benefiting from that relationship of my experience and then those shared resources and a really positive, I think, partnership between the two.
The question would we be competing because of the December Amherst.
Yeah.
It's just me. Well, so we've also tossed around the idea of changing the location in 2024. We have a new, of the Northwest Amherst Recreation Center, which we could use, sort of indoor, outdoor. But again, it's not a very central location. It's wonderful for that community. And certainly the town could consider doing a pop-up there somewhere, at some point, on the holidays. But, it's not a central, invisible location as the island is. So we've struggled with that. I mean, that's, definitely something that you want to continue working on, but it's an arrangement can be made here for shared services, and I think there's a strong benefit to that. Option B would be to create a part-time role as for the event organizer, which I couldn't fulfill, but that would be, I would almost be very limited in that role. Because my town time is my town time, and then I have to do everything outside of my time. So I would be fine with either opportunity. We'd welcome that. But that would be, so one would be, option A would be a negotiation and discussion with town administration and the village board. Option B would be an offer and a negotiation with my group.
Your group hired by the town?
No.
Okay, you're doing.
Yes. And I just wanted to present that in that way so that I'm not here on behalf of the town. the things I described about my role with the town are just my experience.
Mhm.
But
But
there
you're
is,
also not here as part of the village people, so.
I am here as a part of Village Digital. Yes,
But just giving us all scenarios that you could
yes,
work with,
different scenarios.
you know what I mean, what's best for us. So either we can use her as a town employee, or we use her as a private entity to her company. So these are the options, what works best for us. I mean, do, you know what I mean, that type of thing.
Mhm.
And I like the idea of working with the town of
Shared
Amherst.
services, but
Yeah, because I agree, the locations the town has had in the past have not been very conducive to a festive mood. And I think they'd love to be here, quite frankly. And didn't you mention that, they may have the chalets or the
So yes, I have
little
heard,
huts?
I have heard some things about,
Possibly.
the holiday chalets. That is currently in a different department and they're working out that, and where those will land and be housed. So I could not promise that at this point, that even as shared services, we could use them, but it is possible that
That's what
with shared
shared services,
services.
if they were available or not. Because that's something Jeannie Vinyl started, remember? Yeah. Do you have any questions? Ben, do you have any questions, like, about putting it up at Island Park?
No, not yet. I haven't seen a map or drawing or anything. You know, I can't comment on this plan yet.
Because I was curious about this, if it did snow, would that be an issue,
You gotta
you
have
know?
a snow day.
Is this the date of the tree lighting you envision?
I mean, ideally, I think that combining, a day-long event with the market would be ideal. So you have people out in the village all in one day.
So that is,
Like when we do the Christmas tree lighting and all that.
Mhm.
So that's usually the first Saturday in December,
yeah, this is the second Saturday.
right, Ben? Is it the first that we do it, or the second?
The first, but this date
Yeah,
is
but we can
the
change the
second.
date.
So
Yeah, this was just a proposed date,
Yeah.
I just threw it out there, it's not, and this is all, can all be sort of worked out. And again, I would also provide a map, a logistics map of what it would look like.
Yeah, I'd like to do something like that with them when we have the whole event in the village. It's so nice.
And it would be shopping, there needs to be shopping, theme that happens that you can just.
I know when people come to the Christmas tree lighting, they always expect more. They're like, well, what can we do now? And they kind of stand there. They're not, you know, it'd be nice if we had something they could go to afterwards or before. Yeah.
We can start that, rekindle that whole synergy between the WBA and events like this.
Yeah, I agree. And I
Because
think
it
it's
seems
time.
to have dropped off.
Mhm.
Everybody's just looking at each other going, what do we do next?
Yeah.
We used to have this, to have that, but
That would be a really good collaboration.
Those are some of my fondest memories when I owned, my business and when I was a WBA member. And when I took my role with the town, I sort of just had been slacking with the WBA stuff. I do attend WBA meetings, and I discuss partnership, sponsorship opportunities for my park programs. So I do still have a relationship with them. I mean, I've grown up here and I know a lot of the businesses are current park sponsors for park events. So I do have existing relationships with many of the WBA members. And even if they're not WBA members, a lot of the businesses in general.
If we did a shared services agreement, then that stipend would be from both. But could we do a percentage with the village? Could we look at it as a percentage with the town?
Yeah, they don't, I mean, yeah, so it's so that as long as the town and the village are on the same page, that's how they fund it, for sure.
Okay.
And I should add that there is a financial benefit there in that regard, that how I operate my current market, I'm always out looking for sponsors. So instead of privately, going out and getting sponsors to cover my costs and my fees, those sponsorships would go directly. They would not.
Can we do that though? I don't think we can do that.
Say that
Say
again.
that again.
You would-
Yeah, it's
So
like-
how I operate a lot of our markets and our park programs right now, we have, community sponsors that support those programs and sponsor it either with an in-kind sponsorship or a financial sponsorship. So I would use that same model for this particular market, this particular event. If we were shared services, then that would go to your general, I would still seek sponsors that would buy advertising for the event, but that sponsorship money would go directly to the village.
So again, the village nor the town can solicit sponsorships or donations. A private organizer can, and the village and the town can accept those sorts of things, but we can't solicit them.
It's purchasing advertising sales. So it's a relationship where they're getting a product, or they're getting for their sponsorship, they're getting
Right,
an advertisement.
I understand
or a
that.
table.
Right,
So-
but the problem is, the difficulty is the New York State Comptroller and Attorney General have interpreted the New York State Constitution as prohibiting municipalities from soliciting donation. Now, if you're selling advertising, then it gets into a question, now we're in a slightly different area, which is what is the municipal function that we're undertaking? Is the municipality acting as it's governmental function or its proprietary function? Now, this sort of thing is arguably a proprietary activity, in which case it's probably okay to sell advertising, but it really is I was just talking to one of my partners about this issue the other day, because it is a notoriously murky area. That's why, as a general matter, it's easier if a non-governmental organization actually organizes and runs these things, but because those restrictions don't come into play.
How we have the WBA involved with the music on Main, correct? Because they advertise, they do that. Yeah, I mean, you
Their
will work
event,
through
we just-
them,
All we do is permit it.
exactly. But you can work with it, you can include the WBA possibly. You know what I mean? It could be like 3 organizations together rather than just 2. I mean, we do that anyway, wouldn't we? It's right here in the village.
I would be open to,
Price to vendors for space.
for this market.
Yeah.
So if
But it is, right?
if we have a shared services, well, then no, I would not. The village would charge them. That's kind of what I wanted to get away from if I were going to take on this role as a private event organizer, in order to close that gap between what I'm outputting for the village, for all the all-in rental, all the permits, and offset the cost of what the village is charging. I would have to charge the spender $140 just to break even. So- Just, yeah, because I would charge 70 or 75, and the village would charge 70 or 75, and just to offset my costs. That doesn't include the cost I would put into advertising, and signage. And that's just to cover the cost of what the village is charging for the permits, island rental, and the vendor.
Right.
So,
So what do you do over there?
Individual permitting, we don't have. in
For the
place
town?
except for alcohol.
So for the town, well, first of all, Crowley Market has historically been free. I begin
The
to plan
vendors
it,
go there.
they have not been charged in the past, for a spot at the market, at the holiday market.
Oh,
And
what's that?
that's gonna change this year though, regardless of what happens, yes. It's just a lot of work, and then we have to get new signs and et cetera, and
I
advertising.
guess I
So
don't realize.
it's a tricky location, so we kind of put a little money into it.
So I would cover your time.
The market, well, I'm an employee of the town.
Okay, so that means. Okay.
In the market at Bassett Park, we have our sponsorship program where we sell advertising. But we do charge vendors a $20 participation fee per market. And that basically goes to cover our music We always have a concert at the market in Castle Park, and that covers, just barely covered this year. We'll just barely cover it, the price is put up.
Because it
That's
belongs to
where
the
we-
town.
It belongs to the
Yeah,
town, so.
Rental agreement.
absolutely, yeah.
Right.
They have a, they're giving theirs all, it's all a freebie to the town, basically.
Some of the events that I organize for the town are free, no registration required. You don't have to be a resident. It's just my personal philosophy that events that take place in parks should be free to the public and open to the public, whether you're a resident or not. They shouldn't register that. So you see a lot of what I do in the parks, and we'll follow that on.
What's the time frame that you would need to have an answer from us?
I would say, to do something at this level, I think the plan is, end of April, early May. Would be a good.
And what would a basic budget? Agreement?
That would be up to the town of Amherst and the board here. I would not be able to negotiate that. If we were talking about shared services, yes, we can, the town
For the
is
stipend.
working together, yes, that would be, but I would not be able to negotiate that personally.
Right.
It's up to the town to decide if they want, the town and the board, if together they want to
Yeah, that's
develop
another
the shared,
conversation.
shared services. Great,
We did a lot of work, thank you.
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
welcome, thank you.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, very detailed, I love it.
Yeah.
I can provide more detail, like maps, budget, advertising information, if we get to that point, happy to.
Thank you.
Thank you very
so
much.
Yes, you are. All right. So we're gonna move right along to, sales tax came in, they, looking good so far, still 1% above, the projected by Erie County. So it's going to be above. So they're in.
Email?
Catherine, you should. We all have access to that. And so, anybody ever wants to look, they did change the colors this year. Green, has gone to pink, unless my printer is wrong, but it looked like it at pink to me. Sales tax, April 9th, we need to have that public hearing for the budget, April 9th. Chip, can you clarify that it has to be by April 15th or?
That, I don't have that committed to memory, so hang on.
I believe we have to have it April 9th.
I think that's right, but
So would we want to go off agenda and call for that public hearing tonight, or do we have time if we do it at the next board meeting for it to get in the Wednesday before?
Just look at the calendar real quick.
the calendar updates.
13th. If we do it, no, we should go off the agenda and do it.
Okay. Let's get that.
Yeah, just to get it covered.
Just so we don't.
I'll go get the specific date when we go on break.
Then we have local law, what will be local law number 2, the change in the daily time. Public hearing is next board meeting, so everybody has one of these.
That's to be by April.
Yeah, by
Um,
the 10th.
Can I say, no, I happened to talk to a gentleman over at the town of Amherst. And the reason I spoke to him is because the house at 22 Evans Street, where the car ended up on the porch,
Yes.
is becoming very dilapidated. And I've been
The
receiving,
car ended up on the.
oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Back
And
where?
we shifted it and whatnot, it's pretty bad, but, it's been a year now.
Barnabas office.
The property.
Oh, yeah, so this has been a year now and nothing has been done and I see the boards being shifted and whatnot. So I called, Mark Burr. Year now and nothing has been done and I see the boards being shifted and whatnot. So I called, Mark Burr. And he gave me the update on the house. They were pursuing a lot of code violations. Now, he said the issue he has with our village code is that he can never go beyond presenting violations, he can never collect on them. Because our code continually states, for example, shall be guilty of, no, where is it? Upon conviction thereof will be deemed, yeah. So he wants that changed.
Yeah, we've got, right, I mean,
And he
right,
told
I
me
know,
that.
I know he does.
Yeah,
My
and he
concern
said he-
about that is
Yeah.
there's due process things we can't, he very much wants, and perhaps, well, that's not the way I read the first time for myself, that he can just levy fines administratively. So that's, we're having that conversation.
Well, he sent me the email he sent to you, and
Mhm.
Bridget was included and everybody from the old staff back in the day. But he said it never went forward.
Mhm.
They in the town do it that way,
I understand that.
yes, and since
Whether
he's
it's legal or
working more
not,
or less
it's
in
another question.
the town, but for the village, he would just wish we were on the same page, so he could get these code violations done and move on. Nothing is ever completed because of our code the way it's written. Now, why can't we do it the way the town does?
Because the concern is
Yeah.
that there's no due process. There's no forum for anybody to dispute the fine. I mean, generally speaking, what the way our code and their code is set up is it's a civil penalty. And there's also the possibility of jail time. So we can't, there's just the US and New York State constitutions require that the people who are facing fines or jail time have some sort of due process rights.
I understand that completely, but how are they permitted to go forward with it?
It's a good question.
Because he says, they have clients as well or whatever, issues where they find, and after a while, they actually fix the problem. Happens very quickly. Whereas with us, either it never happens, or it's
We
thrown out
do,
for
well,
legality reasons, or you know what I mean,
yeah.
whatever. So I think we really need to address
Chip,
this.
into whether or not we actually can do it. And if somebody else, another municipality is doing it, and I don't do it just because another municipality is doing it, unless it's what we should be doing, unless it's what we can do. So let's just figure it out from the
Yeah,
Yes.
legal end of it, and then we can.
I have a question if I may, not to prolong things. But the way it would go now is the inspector would issue the violation
Mhm.
and then that would get turned over to the prosecutor.
Yeah, or the code enforcement officer can prosecute himself in court.
Take it to.
I don't know, again, I'm not involved in that process. I don't know what, my understanding is, at least when Tim Masters was code enforcement officer, a lot of times he would prosecute code violations. I think the village prosecutor handles traffic infractions and maybe also code related ones. Because I've never been the village prosecutor, I don't know exactly in practice how it works in court, but somebody is prosecuting the matter in village court.
Okay, so like with a speeding ticket, they would go take their ticket to the prosecutor, right? They have to go to court for that.
Yeah.
Why would this be any different?
Well, because the argument and what the town is encouraging us to do is to make a more streamlined process where basically the code office has the ability to just assess fines
Right.
directly without going to court.
But it doesn't seem, it seems like right now we don't have either.
Well, no, we do. We absolutely do. Ours is set up very typical fashion where there's a code violation, you're written up and you go to court. Now, there are certain things we do, like the grass cutting. Those are ones that our code just allows us to go onto somebody's property and cut the grass
You send them a bill.
and send them a bill. And if they don't pay it, it goes on to their, their tax bill.
After they've been notified.
After they've been notified, but it's also, the issue is, and again, I don't know exactly what we're proposing to do on 22 Edward or
Evans,
Evans, sorry.
Evans.
Or when this first came up, there was that problem property where the person was basically operating an illegal business out of, under the guise of holding, garage sales. And
Oh, was this the one on Garrison?
I think so, right? That's
Garrison,
what it
that
was.
was Garrison.
But when you're talking about going in and taking somebody's property, you're really implicating, I mean, cutting grass is not taking somebody's property, so that everybody does that. The question is how far you can go without allowing somebody a foreign, the due process rights. You normally, like if you get a traffic ticket, you can't just be, you have the right to go to court and plead not guilty and try your case. It's not a good idea generally. The idea to generally plead guilty to a parking ticket or something, which they'll usually offer you. But the point is you have the right. So we just need to figure out what's permissible, what's not. I totally understand the desire to not allow, to effectively address these issues, but it also has to be legal.
Yes. But I think if you violate the tax code and you're assessed a fine or penalty immediately, and you don't.
Yeah, taxes, although there is a process, there is a tax court that people can go in. It's also something you don't want to find yourself in.
No.
Not a tax lawyer.
But it, I know that is immediate and it's either prove us otherwise or else pay it and.
Yeah, well, the tax laws are pretty
With a
strong.
deadline, pretty stringent.
Yep.
So, but it seems to me almost parallel, like code enforcement would say, hey, pay this fine, prove it different, or just pay this. I mean, maybe that's how Amherst looks at it.
No, see, the thing is
Do they
like,
ever get to court in Amherst?
I'm sure they do.
I assume the town court handles those things, but from what I understand from Mark, we've had these discussions, is, a lot of it, they don't put a court. And by the way, I'm feeling a little bit, because again, it's not my job, I mean, I draft the
No, I
code.
was just curious.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm not trying to be, I'm just
Yeah.
pointing out that you also have a village prosecutor who has opinions on this matter.
Right.
Because he is the person, so he and Mark have also, and I don't think they've seen eye to eye on what's legal and what's not in terms of what can be enforced, sort of.
Now, Chip, the example with the South Lawn property,
20?
20, sorry.
we tour at that part, that position where we need to fine, not fine. I mean, so this would fall under that as well. I mean,
No, believe it, 20,
So how is that
so we
different
would
then?
have to go to court to get that. If it ultimately, the next step in that process is for us to go to court and have a court declare that property
no matter
public
what.
nuisance. Yeah, I mean, believe it, we
I
can't
thought we
just
were
go,
gonna actually start issuing fines.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna start issuing
Violating
fines.
the permit, right?
the fines are for violating the determination, but again, he'll have the ability to challenge that.
Okay,
So I
but
think that this kind of falls under the umbrella of code enforcement in general. It's the same thing with the noise stuff. And, we don't have a way of enforcing this, or the light pollution.
or this stench pollution.
Exactly.
Well, you do have a way to do it. It's a question of resources in terms of going out there and either measuring the light pollution. I mean, that was always the problem, at least when we had our own, when our own building department doing the code enforcement, they didn't work in the evening. So they couldn't go out and make the measurement, but the code is always allowed, it has made it a violation to cause light pollution as defined in the code, but you had to go into court to prove it.
Those are just very lengthy processes. I just kind of like the way the Amherst attacks certain things where they move it along. I mean, 22 Evans was cited, from what I can tell, at least 6 times in the past year. Because the gentleman just doesn't move along, has excuses, doesn't answer. So Mark has reached a point, and honestly, I'm afraid that the house at some point is just gonna be in such disrepair that they're gonna bulldoze it. I don't want it to go there. I really don't.
Right,
It's a
no,
lovely home, and it's in the beginning of a very beautiful street, Evans Street. And I want to make sure that the house is maintained. And we're not making him do that. And the gentleman needs to do that.
well, again, I'm not sure why it's not, I mean, if they're being written up, I don't know what's happening in court, because I'm not involved
I just,
in that.
I would like it very much, I don't know if it's Tom Webb or you, to talk with Mark Burr and figure this out.
Could you do me a favor? Can you how many times have we been cited? Where is it? What's going on?
Mhm.
So we know. And then if it's citation and things have been, fines have been imposed,
It's unsafe
they're just
conditions,
not-
basically. Yeah.
addressing it. And where we go from there.
Yeah, I don't know where, like, I don't know where, I don't know what's happened with all those
Okay.
attempts to enforce it. But I'll talk to Mark.
Yeah, if you could talk to Mark and try to get to the bottom of where we are with this, so we know where we need to go. Because we just gotta,
Stay on top of it.
we gotta figure it out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And then everybody does have a copy of this, so they have it for review for next meeting or. Right, I'm sure we just have it. And then local law 3, we did all receive this email as well, the prohibited noise amendment. So again, we're gonna, most likely gonna have this public hearing April 22nd. So if everybody could review this.
Yeah.
The prohibited
I don't know,
noise.
how long ago was it sent?
Well, we discussed it last.
I sent it on Friday.
Sent
I just drafted it on Friday.
It was just drafted.
So it is, if you recall, last meeting, there was a talk.
Okay, I do recall.
Yeah, so there was the issue, I mean, there's 2 different ways the village could do this. It could either, because right now, what the village code says in terms of prohibited noise is, sorry, let me pull it up. Among other things, it's unlawful to erect, demolish, alter, or repair any building exterior or excavate any site between the hours of 9 PM and 7 AM. Except and there was talk about should we lengthen those hours or shorten those hours that you can do construction activity? Maybe say it started at 8 o'clock. And there was some, based on our discussion last time, there was some concern about doing that across the board may have created problems for smaller, simpler projects. Be too restrictive because a lot of contractors like to work early in the morning, whatever. So what this is based on is the idea of allowing the approving it, so either Mark in issuing a building permit or the planning board in issuing a site plan or architectural approval. It's really there's already authority, and the zoning board of appeals for a special use permit. To basically put a condition in there, if they have good reason to believe that construction activity associated with that should be restricted to later hours, starting at a later time because of the sensitivity of the setting or just the magnitude of the sound, basically could be built right into the approval. And therefore that language simply says, if it's there, that becomes prohibited. So it's 9 to 7 or such other time as may be set forth in the approval. So say if the approval for some project says, okay, you can only do the construction activity between the hours of 8 AM and 7 PM, then that would be, if you did it outside those hours, that would also be prohibited noise violation. And the other language in there was really just to try to harmonize the various types of approvals or permits that, so the language tracks, it says, it makes it clear that they can put those conditions in. But in essence, all that's really trying to do is then loop that back to say, and if that's imposed as part of a condition of your permit or approval, if you violate it, now you're in violation of section 73(3). A. So it's a fair amount of words for a pretty simple concept.
So we're calling for the public hearing. for this.
And again, yeah, and this doesn't commit you, I mean, this is just to have a public hearing, if you decide there's a better way to go about it.
So everybody can look at.
Yeah.
Time to look at.
Discuss it.
Do we have copies of that, Sue?
I'll make sure everybody.
Yeah.
I think,
Discuss it next work session.
Yeah, well, we've got.
Copy
that.
them.
Yeah, you just put the copies in our mailbox.
Because for all we know, we may end up approving it as a board. It doesn't have to be submitted like that for the public hearing. It's just a public hearing as it's posted at that point, correct? And how that works.
yeah, I mean, it's a public hearing on the proposal to amend the local law.
Oh,
You
okay.
could then decide based on feedback you get at the public hearing or your own thoughts, you want to do it a little bit differently, depending on how much you depart from that particular
Yeah, I'm
concept.
just
We might
saying-
want to extend that public hearing.
I'm just saying if we depart from that particular context by the time the public hearing rolls around.
No, the public hearing is going to be here, anybody who's interested in changing, well, what exactly did I put in the beginning?
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I just.
So as long
wasn't
as
sure.
as long as the notice is fairly puts people on notice that we're talking about changes to the noise ordinance and when you may or may not be allowed to engage in construction activity.
Is there not-
If you decide to change, if the board collectively says, no, let's just change the hours, the people would still be on notice that that's what we're doing.
Yeah, because we haven't, I may not have been at that board meeting as well, or the first one. But
Yeah, it was the last meeting.
we,
All right, music on Main.
thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I got a list running for you. The top right corner here. Music on Main,
How are we
we,
doing? Grant updates?
I'm still on this. Oh my goodness, grant
You
updates.
skipped.
No,
Skipped you.
finish you. You're on a
I
roll.
skipped you, my God.
That's okay. There's
No,
not
no.
that many. There's not that many. It'll
Didn't
take like
realize
a
you caught
couple
the first
minutes.
one.
I cut Sue off, I'm sorry, Sue, go ahead, Sue.
That's okay.
We'll go back, we'll come back.
I'm happy to stay quiet.
Nope,
I put whether there was an update or not, just so I'm not gonna go through each one. Down at the fourth one down, the Island Park Dam grant, we just received the signed contract back. Remember how we had to change it because of the $90? So they signed it and sent it back, so that's on file now. And then we just gotta set up a check-in call with Mark Rubin next week. But that's, continuing. As far as the planning grant for the community plan, I think I told you already, we did have a call with Erie County and the town. And they talked about how they'd like to see us spend the money, like not so much on the community outreach versus the actual development of the plan and the consultant we use for that. So we've talked through that, and then they're also gonna help on scope. And then Wendy Savati submitted a quote for $8,800 to serve as the consultant for the public outreach portion. Put together a nice proposal and has some great ideas for that. Let's see, my next update is the Karen McMahon Sam grant for our building here. That's now with Ways and Means Committee. They requested additional detail, which I provided. So they have all the detail they asked for, so we'll just hopefully get that soon. I know the mayor's been nudging on that one. And then I just added on today the 2 SAM grants where it looked like we didn't spend all the money that we were given, so we have to take a look at those. So I just added those on and what they were for and what was used. Okay,
Those were state grants.
right.
So did you see the email I sent everybody on maybe doing the Restore New York after all?
I did see that.
How do you feel that? Okay, I was approached by somebody from HPC who thinks that we should go forward with it for the section house. Even though we think it's constrictive toward our community base, you know, in terms of how wealthy we are, but she disagrees. She's willing to write the letter, but everything has to be submitted via the computer. I don't know how you felt about it. Do we want to give it a try? Do we not? The letter of
Well, we've been
intent.
told, all we can say is no, right?
Yeah,
They've been told no before,
so
so.
we should try,
We
right?
should try.
Okay, thank you.
We
I will
should-
get that
And we
down.
need that by.
The letter of intent by
Right.
March 25th. And I'll make sure I get that, then you can put it in,
Okay,
okay?
Yep.
Because she said she'll write it,
okay,
all right?
yeah.
Chris?
Yes, absolutely. And then I did want to mention while we're in grants, that the congressionally directed spending grant, that application date has been extended to April 5th. And that was the one we tried for last year that we didn't get, right? The one with Gilbrand.
Oh, that one, okay.
Yeah.
Gotta remind me which one we didn't get last year.
This one is, again, out there, and I know that Anthony knows about the state one, but I haven't seen any emails on this one. So I think.
Where is it, Chris?
The congressional,
And what's it for?
for the sewer.
Ah, yeah, okay.
So it would cover, of course, the 20% match, but we could do sewer pipes rehabilitation, interceptors, collectors, those three things that I think under the SRF we would be eligible for. So let's throw that as the, let's see, tell us know about this, I guess.
What I forgot to
Important.
mention,
So I'll get that email chain going with all of us.
before I forget to mention, this I don't understand. This Restore New York requires a $500 municipalities of 39,000 or less to be submitted as a non-refundable wire deposit for this application.
Never heard of that.
Never had to
Which is really
pay for a
weird,
grant
isn't it?
application, yeah.
So I remember I highlighted that, I forgot to mention it, and that really turned me off.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, read that.
For-
Yeah,
I don't know, New York Department of State, I don't think.
it goes to the Empire State Development Corporation.
Empire State Development
Yeah,
Corporation.
see, a non-refundable wire transfer to Empire State Development Corporation in the amounts indicated below. And they give you the size of the population and what is, and they give you the bank and all that, and I find it so weird. I have never seen that before
Not
on
for
any
grant.
type of grant application in my entire life. Is that not strange?
Yeah.
Better double check that whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, it was on New York,
It
it was on it, it was on the New York State government website. It's just
Yeah,
so
well,
One
strange.
of the links.
There were
in here.
people getting,
Yeah, it's
there were
one
people
of the links they
getting,
put down there.
easy pass bills
Isn't that
too.
weird, Chris? I mean, this
on
is like
letterhead.
weird.
Probably
Yeah.
just want serious applications only,
I mean,
you know,
they,
not,
I mean,
know the
You know, they're
Cannabis
reaching out to municipalities
applications require
who don't have
non-refundable
anything
deposit, but
to
I
help them,
said-
and then they charge them.
they've required significant non-refundable deposits for
Up to-
cannabis
up to
applications,
2,000.
but that's,
Yeah, 100,000.
I've never heard of it
No.
actually with a grant.
yeah.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
All right, well, let's find out.
The new
Get
world.
all
I'd hate to do it and then not get it.
I know, so I'm gonna ask the
Yeah.
individual
costs us
who
money
wants
to-
to write it, I'm gonna ask her first, okay?
Okay.
Did you
Where the money's coming from.
If you just check your emails. Okay, because I'd like to get that in right as soon as possible too.
Thought that's what we paid our taxes for.
But to get that, to.
500 bucks.
for, yeah, I know.
Should be
that's
the opposite.
surprising. That's surprising.
And this is for
Everything above 39.
blighted communities.
All right, I don't want to take up all of our time here for just nice stuff. Music on Main, we all agreed, they came back with a proposal of paying 1,000 through WBA or any place. I'd like to see 1,500. What do you guys want? What do you want?
I just to say to let it get going, you know, the 1,000's meeting halfway for this year, kind of
Well, go ahead.
You know, as, in part, to take the surprise edge off it, if they're willing to do 1,000. And, you know, in a way, it's kind of an olive branch going both ways. I thought the conversation that we had between us and the people that were in the room from WBA was a good leap off point. I would really kind of hate to sour that.
What it'll do, and what I explained to Eddie, is next year, there won't be this opportunity. It will have to be each individual business. So there'll be, what we discussed briefly last week was like an all season pass kind of thing for summer music season for the 10 weeks. We can do that. But we'll just take WBA and the promoter out of it for that permitting.
And it
portion
should
of
be that way.
For next year.
What has been going on, my understanding is that the WBA files a $40 permit, which was the cost of the permit, for the dates for Music on Main, for any of the venues. Collected the money and they filed for the permit.
For one.
For one.
permit.
One
the
permit for
entire
$40,
season.
not for each venue.
No.
No, they,
560 for the.
It was,
14
right.
Okay.
Probably only gonna be 12 venues this year. Okay. So,
But the same amount is outside. Same amount outside though, correct?
Same number
Yeah,
of
there's
venues that are outdoor.
the sound
It's for the outdoor.
some of them may be,
Okay.
eliminating themselves from that. So that's was the basis of the existing permit structure. They paid the permit fee for each of the venues and it covered all of the dates of Music on Main.
They paid a combined fee.
Yeah, which I did
So-
not know, I did not realize, I always thought the venues paid for their permit fee, for their weekly permit each week, but they didn't. So I didn't realize it was rolled in until this conversation came up and I spoke to Eddie, and then we changed things. Because we thought we were giving them a break at 500. So they
Right.
used to pay 400 and then instead of paying 750, they'd only be paying 500. So that was our purpose, because that was what we thought had been happening prior to this. Now we find out that it's been all rolled into one very low cost, a very low amount of money, for the village, to realize when we are really shutting down our side streets and whatnot for, the entire, summer on Thursdays.
Right.
So that's even more reason to me, for us to realize something from what's coming into the village and a lot of outside people and a lot of money being spent.
So then, what the gentleman from Rachel Nails was saying is that he filed for a separate permit, $40, to cover other dates.
Each time, yes, each day.
But the way it has been functioning is that it acted like a season pass. He
Well, it
wasn't.
was wrong, Jeff.
I don't know how that ever
Jeff,
happened.
it was wrong.
I have no idea.
I'm just explaining
No, I
Yeah,
know.
we
it's-
understand, we
what
get it.
the existence has been.
Well, it's been, but it's been incorrect.
So it's been one group's thinking this and another, and then we're thinking an entirely different process.
Right.
Which should be the process, if that's what we have these mayor's permits and other requirements for people to use them. And nobody's ever said that, oh, you need one permit for the whole summer.
Never.
That's just, it's not fair to the people that realize what they should be doing, and we're paying for more than one permit. So,
Well,
So-
was anybody?
I don't know, I didn't sign, I wasn't signing permits 2 years, 3 years, a year ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do know that, all island rental and those types of things, yes, you know, that's more of a understanding, everybody understands what they have to do there. But this has just gotten away, the permit for amplified sound has just gotten away from the village administration. It ran and it never came back. It was a wild dog. So, Music on Main, you know, I mean, next year, this gives us time, yes, to let everybody know through a collaborative effort and through going to meetings that we're coming up with an idea, you know, or a plan so that people can get an all-season pass or just Thursday, whichever they prefer. I think most businesses would just want an all-season pass
I think,
to simplify it.
but I think that since the Music on Main is a WBA event, I think that it should be completely separate to any live music on Main on Thursdays or on Fridays and Saturdays.
I agree.
I think Thursday
I
should
agree.
be a completely different animal.
So then we can't just, then I
You can't do
I
a
can't see,
season pass.
except then just $1,000 for that night, for the whole year. For every Thursday, you're saying
I
that
think
WBA pay for it?
What's
We
that?
haven't accepted.
Well, that's what they're doing.
I know that.
They're working out some deal because the way it was explained to me was not all those sites have amplified music outside. So they don't all pay it. So they,
No, that's, what he's talking about, what he's charging now.
right, but it was
But he gets the
divided,
two
but it was
confused.
what they were charging them, and then the WBA was covering the permit fees out of that.
Right.
So it wasn't the individual sites that were doing outside music taking the hit for having outside music.
I see what you're saying.
It was
Before
covered-
Ellie
it was
was
covered.
involved,
What's that?
Ellie used to do this. And she said that she would come down and file a $40 permit for each venue for this, for all of the nights of Music on Main.
Right, that were outside.
Could be.
Yeah, only outside, because amplified
That was
music is
outside.
outside.
They don't need a permit for
No,
inside.
they don't.
Right,
So that's how they were spreading it out. That's why they were paying the fee. WBA was covering it. Whether Ellie was doing it or not, I don't know, but. So however they wanna handle it, they get, you know, maybe it's a season pass for the whole thing, but each site needs to be, you know, somehow, it just, that's where it got all messy, right? And everybody started using it like, oh, I got a season pass. I can have music on Fridays and Saturdays. Seems like it, because like you said, you didn't sign any.
And Mondays.
I don't know, and Mondays or whatever. That's not the deal. I think Thursdays needs to be a separate animal, needs to be worked out separately. And then Fridays and Saturdays could be anybody. That could be a non-WBA.
It should be a
Member.
non-WBA.
No, I'm saying it could be a non-WBA member having outdoor music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, which is
So
fair.
Fridays and Saturdays are a completely different animal in my book. Music on Main,
music on,
Thursdays, music on Main is one thing.
but they're not all WBA members, are they?
Oh, I
No,
don't
they're
know.
not. They're not. That's the problem. They're not.
Well, I mean,
WBA.
it's a W, right?
Sponsored event.
So, I mean, who are we to enforce that? Hey, you're not a WBA member.
No, I know, but I'm
We're
just
not.
asking, so it wouldn't, so if we did it all season, pass,
That would be up
That
to the
wouldn't matter.
WBA to complain about it to us and say, hey, someone's taking advantage of this. If they're not on the list for outdoor music anyway. But if they don't have outdoor music, they can't complain either. The complaint we have is when the music goes outdoor. It's the only complaint anybody can have.
Mhm. So, Chip, why would, I don't understand why it's a conflict if we just charge a season pass and include Thursdays in it.
No, I don't see why
And
it's
then
conflict.
take the WBA out of this permitting process, and then just offer the music on Main like we did for $500. I don't understand why we don't, why, is there a reason why we don't wanna mix the two?
I don't think we should mix the two.
Well,
So it's just a preference.
yeah, but I don't think it's illegal. I mean, what the code requires is you get a permit for sound amplification. So, but how you wanna package that, that's really up to you guys.
Okay. So in a way, we'd be given a WGA season pass for music on May for Thursday.
I mean,
Well, that's
my
kind
my
of like-
recollection,
That's how
for
it's
what it's worth, and again, these are not legal issues really, but my recollection is similar, is the same as what Dan, I remember that, sorry, what's her name again?
Ellie?
Ellie, coming in, like when they first started, she, as I recall, I think came with like a packet for the entire season for all the places that were, but I think it was you had to pay for the permit for each one of those events, for each one of those venues.
That's exactly what you
Okay.
So did
Each
Eddie
one
not
of
do
the
that
venues, but
coming
not
to
each
the
one of the
village?
nights.
Yeah.
No, I think it was,
It's the same
I
thing,
think you paid for
It was
each
just
night
less
of
than what we
the
thought.
series.
So that's
I
400
won't swear by
from each
that because I wasn't the person receiving them, but that's how I remember. And that's the way I think the code is read, is like if you need you need a permit for sound amplification.
Yeah,
So-
the permits themselves, physical permit indicates on it a specific date
Date.
or a.
Well, I think you could do,
From
right,
this
or
date to
say
this
these date to this date, or these following dates for run the
So
whole
how are they
series.
That's
But
how
that
the
could
permit's
still-
written. It's written with each date, and when I get the barricades, at least, and I believe that's the same as the amplified music, it's each date written on the permit.
When I signed off on them for one summer, I believe. And they had all the individual dates on
Listed,
them.
yep.
But there weren't that many, cause there were like, I don't know,
But
five
whether
out
you
there.
charged,
That
so what
that
is
was
it,
a big
$40 for
one.
if somebody did one night before? Or at $40 if they had 10 nights? I kind of thought it was, if you were doing 10, it's $400. If you're doing one, it's $40.
No, I
But
think
I don't,
that changed somehow.
Yeah, I think it was $40 per venue for the entire
for
season.
the entire season, and that may be the way it always was. I just don't,
Should be able to find that out,
right?
a little more forensic digging.
Sorry, that word.
So then this year,
He started calling me Sherlock Holmes.
we are in the path of doing a one fee WBA, any type WBA's and a fee
For Thursdays,
for Thursdays only.
okay.
And they'll
There's
understand
12
that.
Thursdays.
There are 12
12
Thursdays. And do you know how many people how many venues are gonna be outside?
There were 14 last year, and maybe 12 this year.
So 12 Thursdays and 12 outside bands.
There's 12 outside bands on there?
You're looking at
So figure that out.
$56.
So
I
how
don't-
much did you want to charge them as a blanket?
I'd like to see at least 1,500.
I agree with
They
you.
want
I think
1,000.
1,000 is fine.
I don't, I'd like to know that solid number. That seems high. I think they're talking about just
1,500.
sites.
Divided by 12.
There's 12 bands playing outside at one time.
You know,
That's 125 for the
Like-
entire season. Are you kidding me? That's not a
Well, up and
lot.
down, they're all over the place.
Here, Chris,
Glen
1,500,
Park Tavern.
125 per venue for the season, for music on Main.
Rock
Beach
Street.
40.
You know how much, Jeff, you know how much they make?
Rush.
It's-
Glen Park
All right,
I don't think it's, I don't think. what
Pull an
we
old
paid
one
for
out.
500 extra dollars
Well, I
is
do.
worth the ill will that we're
I'm
creating.
we've already reduced it by a lot. I'm for 1,500, sorry.
We're not trying to create ill will.
No.
We're just trying to create revenue for the village taxpayers that they should be getting anyways, if people are gonna have amplified music. So I'm willing to negotiate, which is what we said we do, but I just think $1,500 is more fair with the number of venues and the number, I thought. Now we're going from 10 weeks to 12, so they're pushing it into, oh no, they're starting earlier. And they're going all the way through August.
Yeah,
When are they starting?
1,500, sorry. 12 Thursdays and
Just-
12 outside bands?
Please, I'm asking when the dates are.
What's they didn't give me the flyer, the updated.
How are they
date yet.
starting early? It's like a set thing around the schools season.
Gotta be after the schools get out,
Well,
right?
if I could. They went later this past season.
They did.
They went later on that whole, that's where that umbrella crap came in,
Right.
where they
went
were,
a
you know,
couple
it
of
was
weeks
on Fridays
longer.
and Saturdays and everything else. It cuts off at whatever, September 3rd, whatever. It's done. Saturday nights, that's negotiable, I suppose, or Friday nights, but no Thursdays. And that's always disappointing to me.
Because that's-
They're
that's-
pushing it.
That's where you're gonna get another,
See, the
form
problem-
of agita, because you're gonna get people that are gonna say, well, we had 3 rain dates in the middle of our thing, so we want to extend it because the weather's well for another 3 weeks.
It's just like, if they're doing 12, it's gonna be June 20th through September 5th.
When is school end this year?
This one says June 6th to the 29th of August.
So they're.
What was that?
June 6th. is during
That's when they
school.
want to start?
Start, yeah.
To the 29th of August.
Last year was the 1st of June. I got a request for
Yeah,
barricades.
every Thursday night, 14 groups or bands playing music every week.
don't have the
Part of the problem is here,
Yeah.
and I'd like to hear everybody that may be listening online with this, is there's a disconnect between the WBA and what we're hearing. There's business owners coming in that have it, the venues, and they're just expressing their feelings about the overall thing. And then, Mr. Tice he's come in, but he's the one that books the bands. There's nothing from there's a secretary, there's nothing from the president. And I don't know if we need to have a conversation or higher up, but it just seems to be a disconnect here. And the right people may not be talking about this. Because we're sitting here trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's all speculation.
Yeah.
And meantime, the clock's ticking. And everybody's gonna get upset. I'm willing to, I'm kind of with Jeff with that, but I would really like to hear, now I'm hearing different dates. I'm hearing different numbers of venues. It's all over the place. I need solid answers before I.
25th is the last meeting day. June 25th is the last meeting day.
That's June 25th. That's when Music on Main starts.
Yeah, and not before. It shouldn't start before. It shouldn't start before. school.
When did it start starting before? I mean, okay, so we'll have to get to the bottom of that. I don't know what WBA did with the dates. And if they've already set those dates, we're gonna pull them back?
Can't start before.
We're the ones that signed the permits.
That's right, so we better tell them now.
Individual
Yeah.
permits.
No, they better tell us now.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
all over the place.
That's
Keep
right.
changing.
I agree.
And they know that it's supposed to start after school, the school year ends.
Yeah, so they better tell us now that they're starting when the school year ends. And not before.
I'll give you, just breaking down a little bit, maybe my math isn't correct.
June 6th.
It's not my strong suit. 12 weeks and 12 different venues, that's 144 separate occurrences divided by 1,500 is $10.41, 42 cents per date per venue.
Wow, what a deal.
$10.42.
Can't get a drink for that.
So,
Right.
again.
So what did not per week? What was it per venue
It'd be like 100,
for the year?
$150, give or take, rough math.
So it was 40. last year. So
But that's at 1,500.
Somebody needs to make up a flow chart. This is-
All right, so I guess we're not gonna come to a decision on that, whether it's 1,000 or 1,500, I mean, unless we just. And we
No, we-
need dates.
Yeah, we need the dates, that's the most important right now.
and the dates and the number of venues.
Yeah.
But roughly.
Can we have that in writing,
say that.
Jeff? I mean, can they send us an email actually in writing? Because I don't like this, mouth to mouth stuff, nothing ever gets solved.
Well, you
Okay,
know,
they'll have to send out their stuff.
Some
later than usual.
a ton of phone conversations
there's-
don't help. We need to all be at the table.
I think.
Louisville.com.
I had to work over that yard.
Give me a headache.
They did, I remember.
Yes,
The WA.
Okay, we're gonna take, everybody again, take 5, we'll come back to
Okay.
work session, and have the board meeting. And
Okay, we're off.
Ready? Everybody ready?
Ready?
No. The, no. All right. Okay. All right, well, are we live? Good, okay. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Village of Williamsville Village Board meeting for March 11th, 2024. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Deputy Mayor Dan Boyle.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call, please, Administrator.
Sure, Mayor Hunt,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Delano.
Here.
Trustee Tori,
Here.
Trustee Han.
Here.
Trustee Celeste.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay. Call for approval of the regular meeting minutes for February 26, 2024, with the correction to the date for the public hearing. It should be March 25th, 2024, for the proposed local law amending chapter 15. Be on page 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And then the adjoining publication should be changed.
Got
And we did, the B is changing it.
Yes.
We're all
It's
set
next
there.
issue. Yep.
Anybody have anything else on those? No.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion for suspension of rules for public participation.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, suspension rules for public participation. If you'd like to step up and speak to the board, please step up to the podium and state your name and residence, and we will hear you
3 minutes.
for 3 minutes.
Dan Hunt, 75 Redmond Street. Just listening to what you're discussing with music on Main Street, one thing I do know is Thursday nights are packed. So the businesses are making their money. They can probably make in the first hour what they would be charged for the entire season. So there's a lot of people that are inconvenienced by the music. I hear it where I live, I don't care, but there's a lot of other residential houses that are a lot closer. As a board, I think you already voted for fees for music on Main. So now you're gonna change your mind and change what you're gonna charge to businesses? I mean, the businesses are all making a lot of money, and that's great. But all their prices have gone up, drinks, food. I just don't understand why you would feel like you're hurting the business by, he's saying $10 a night, really? I mean, they make that with one drink, right? One Thursday pays for what you wanna have them pay. So, as far as your fines, I'm listening to talking about fines. So, I wasn't gonna talk, but I'm listening here. So let's say the tower that's on South Lawn. You cannot fine the guy for not doing anything to the property?
You say
Like it has to go to court? You can't just say, you got 90 days to do something to this property. If you refuse to do it, we're fining you $500 a day. Can you not do that as a board? Or can you?
Well, it's code enforcement.
No, I mean, the code, like, so they go and they say that. Is it where you can't really fine them? You have
there
to.
are due process requirements required by the United States and New York State
Okay, well, if the-
constitutions.
If you're saying the town of Amherst can do it, then I think we should be able to do it. Because there's, to me, too many things, especially the code. I don't know if this community plan is gonna change it, but the noise. One part of the code states 7 o'clock in the morning. It's so unclear. Half the things are, nobody can understand it. And I think people here, you're not, why not follow the law? Nothing's gonna happen. Right? The guy puts up an awning, shouldn't have put up the awning. What happens? Nothing. The awning's still standing. It's just, I think people think, what's gonna happen? Nothing. I'm not gonna get fined. You should be able to find somebody. Find the person. If you told him you're finding him $500 a day, I bet you he'd figure out what he was gonna do with the property. But I think you should not budge on music on Main. These businesses all make money. The village should get their fair share. The taxpayers, residents.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt.
Hi, my name is Doug Richardson, and I live in the village. About 3 years ago, as everybody knows, we had a traffic officer for the village for parking. Is there any thoughts, now I know you made a new budget, of bringing somebody back? As everybody knows, the amount of traffic now is even worse than it was 3 years ago. Cars are parked everywhere, items are blocked. For a safety reason, we really should have someone doing it. And if you're not planning on doing it, you still have signs up from 3 years ago. They say 2-hour parking, which should come down. I mean, there's no one enforcing it right now. I don't think it's fair that people have signs up that they don't park there, but other people park there all day. So either you should enforce it or take the signs down. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
And village board members, my name is Thomas Frank, and I'd like to give you a request for a resolution, a joint resolution similar to the for the Glen Park Joint Board. That this is very important as far as the timing, as far as an agreement for this goes back to 1977. As far as the agreement for the ownership, financing, improvement and maintenance of the Glen Park. There are two aspects of this resolution. One has to do with the connection to the, as far as the Glen Park with Ellicott Creek, the connection to the Niagara River Greenway, as far as the relicensing settlement, which extends through 2050. Okay, and this is an agreement between the village and the town. I mean, if you look at what's going on over there as far as the maintenance and the management, there's an opportunity here.
That's Island Park, by the way.
Well, right, Island Park, but it's basically it's a watershed that the and this is a part of what Brian Culpa is doing with the Westwood Pharmaceutical Country Club as far as the Amherst Central Park Greenway. That the Greenway, as far as the Ellicott Creek, this has to do with a plan that was developed for the East Coast Greenway because the United States Army Corps of Engineers know that there's going to be a fluctuation in the water level over a 10-year period. And it's going to affect, as far as FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, that they're not, if you're in the floodplain, they're not going to pay for a disaster, that you got to take it out on your own insurance. And as far as the local residents, you got like 1,200 of them that their homeowners insurance has gone up like 2, 3, or 4 times. But I just wanted to bring to your attention as far as Brian Culpa, as far as, the 2024 town board, revised meeting dates, that, the village, board meeting and the town board meeting, they shouldn't be at the same time on the same date. And, also I'm suggesting that, and for your consideration, having, with the comprehensive plan, having to do with,
Thank you, Tom.
um,
Thank you, Mr. Frank.
okay. I lost my thought train.
That's because the alarm went
Thank
off.
The alarm went off.
Thank you, Frank.
Anybody else? I see no one come forward. Motion to close suspension of rules for public participation.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, village board report and resolution. Just, you okay? Continue.
No, I'm all right.
Amherst. Arts, culture, and diversity. Okay, Arts, culture, and diversity will be meeting on March 14th, this Thursday at 7 p.m. We are changing the meeting date for Monday, April 8th, the solar eclipse day. We will not have a board meeting that day. It'll be moved to April 9th. That's on our website. We've changed our calendar. We have a couple other dates that'll be changed. Of course, Memorial Day, we will have our board meeting on Tuesday. For the 4th of July, traffic and safety will be moved to Wednesday the 3rd. And all of these dates will be changed online on our website. Okay, I make a motion to be resolved that the following budget transfers are hereby made in the general fund for the 2023-2024 fiscal year as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Be it resolved that the following budget transfers are hereby made in the Glen Park Fund for the 2023-2024 fiscal year as written.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Resolution number 3, make a motion that it be resolved that payroll and vouchers in the amount of $140,538.12 covering the period from 2/12/24 through 3/12/2024 are hereby approved as follows, as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion that it be resolved that the following persons are hereby appointed election inspectors for the special election of the Village of Williamsville to be held Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, at a rate of $150 each for the day to be paid by the Village of Williamsville. As written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Be it further resolved that the following person is hereby appointed as alternate election inspector as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And be it further resolved that Albert Reinhardt, 157 Columbia Drive, is hereby appointed chairperson of the election inspectors.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Whereas the Village of Williamsville has received a 2023 Tree City designation from the Arbor Day Foundation and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and will be acknowledged at the New York State DEC Recognition Dinner Lunch for 2023 Tree Campuses, Tree Lines, and Tree Cities. Make a motion that it now therefore be resolved that the village board hereby authorizes Ben Villanin, DPW crew chief, and Daniel Delano, deputy mayor, to travel out of the county to attend the recognition lunch to be held on March 21st, 2024 at the SKY Armory in Syracuse, New York, at a cost not to exceed $400 if needed for travel, reimbursement of travel. If we're not taking are we taking a village vehicle? Is that undetermined?
Undetermined at this point.
Okay.
Gonna give us 400, I might rent one. Get there fast. I'm
Mileage.
kidding. I'm kidding.
Not to exceed 400.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I have no further reports or resolutions. Deputy Mayor Delano?
Thank you, Mayor.
to answer ask a couple of my questions, the trees were all in from the planting, right? So it's
With
all-
the exception of one in the triangle.
I'm
No, I'm
sorry.
sorry, that's in. Nope, we're
That's
done.
it, yeah.
We're
So,
done.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the trees were finished. I did get the report from a neighbor that one went into the triangle, so that was actually my question for work session.
Yep.
We didn't get to.
Forgot about that. That was a hand dug one. They had to work for that one.
Yeah, I heard. Thank you. So the tree planting's done, successful. It was, everyone heard Mayor Hunt mention that we received the 2023 Tree City USA designation. Once again, I believe that's our 17th year. That's nothing to sneeze at. That's a lot of work by a tree board that's actually been, a lot of the same people for a long time. It's a very committed group, and it has worked very hard to advance that program to the point where it's at now. And we hardly deal with any loss at all of young trees unless somebody decides to hit one with a car or a deer rubs one out or something. But anyway, secondly, the community plan committee, is the steering committee essentially, which I've stated before that we had needed to organize a lot of things on the administrative end. When it came to consultants and the project charter, Amherst planning, our administrator, our chair and vice chair, myself, Mayor Hunt, Attorney Greco. So we're pretty much done with the charter. It needs a little bit of tweaking. I will get to, I have a resolution to hire WWF's planning, who is Wendy Salati. She worked with us with the LWRP. Looks quite well. She has put together a nice proposal and package for the for the community outreach. And we will be doing mailers soon on this. You will be receiving things in your mailbox regarding when the meeting is for your area of the village, to express your concerns or what you feel that this community plan update should include. So be looking for that. When did the first ones go out?
The mailers?
Yeah,
I'm not sure yet.
roughly.
Within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, in the next couple of weeks. So, and I don't remember the dates offhand, but you'll be receiving them in your mailboxes. And I guess that's it for reports. I do have a couple resolutions. Resolve that Andrew Marcus of 159 City Drive, Amherst, New York, is hereby appointed as DPW MEO at a salary of $19.44 per hour, effective March 11th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second resolution, resolved that the proposal from Wendy Salati of WWS Planning to provide professional consultant consultation services for public outreach as part of the Village of Williamsville Community Plan Update Project is hereby approved in the amount of $8,800 to be paid out of the American Rescue Plan Act funds.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that concludes my reports and resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Delino. Trustee Tori?
Thank you, Mayor Hunt. I have no resolutions tonight. I have a few reports. The first one would be that Glen Park Joint Board is meeting this Wednesday at 7 p.m. And the Environmental Advisory Council is meeting on Monday, the 18th at 7:15 p.m. here at Village Hall. And I also want to talk about the solar eclipse that's coming up. A nice little presentation here. We're actually having a presentation in the meeting house on March 30th, which is a Saturday at 2 p.m. And it's a lecture on the total eclipse called Don't Be Left in the Dark. Will basically have speakers who will talk about the eclipse and what to expect. And they will be from the Buffalo Astronomical Association, the Sierra Group Niagara, and the Town of Amherst Service and Emergency Safety. Right? Emergency, service, and safety. Yes, hopefully. So anybody is invited to attend, and it's a free admission, and it will be a really good lecture to know what to expect in the following week, because we're less than a month away. I want to relate into the solar eclipse, I want to remind the village businesses, if they do plan on hosting any events outside with music, that they must come and get a permit, a mayor's permit, for Friday, the April 15th, and or for Saturday, April 16th. We won't allow anything during event day. And if they must apply for these permits by the end of March 27th, which is a Wednesday. That's the final day. So again, if the businesses want to have any music during those days, that weekend, you must apply for your permit by March 27th. Thank you, that's all.
Okay, thank you, trustee Torrey. Trustee Hahn?
The issue committee will be meeting tomorrow at 1:00. During a work session, maybe we can talk about the stone. Okay. And the WBA will be meeting next Wednesday at noon at the Irishman, and hopefully we can get a little more progress in work session as regards music. There's no report, there was not a meeting for the planning board this month.
Okay. Thank you, trustee Hahn. Trustee Celeste?
Thank you, Mayor. No resolutions, reports. We have the Parks Committee meeting Tuesday, the 19th, and that will be at 7:15 p.m. here at Village Hall. And traffic and safety is scheduled for April 4th at 7 p.m. here at the same location. And I will just report that by word of mouth, the library is out of solar eclipse glasses.
It's surprising.
So they went hot and fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you, trustee Celeste. Staff reports?
None for me right now.
No. Okay, Ben?
We started the second and fourth Monday of the month pickups for brush, metal, concrete, etc. So second and fourth Mondays of the month are when you can put out those items. Thank you for approving the MEO candidate. We are fully staffed with that addition. It's been some time since that has happened, and everyone appreciates it. That's all I have for now.
Deputy Treasurer Lloyd, anything? Okay, seeing no further staff reports, I do make a motion to go off agenda to call for the April 9th public hearing for the budget.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I will make a motion.
Do you have something written or you need
No.
something written up?
No, let me just do something here. Let me go real quick here, see if I can find it in last.
If you have last month's, yeah. we
Last
could
month's.
use that.
Okay, here we go. Make a motion that it be resolved that the village administrator, clerk, treasurer is hereby authorized and directed to publish notice of a public hearing to be held on April 9th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. to hear all persons interested in communicating on the proposed draft budget. How do I say that? How do I word that, Chip? Tentative budget for the 2024-2025 village fiscal year.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No, motion to go back on agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we do have an executive session tonight. Motion to go into executive session for personnel discussion.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Back to,
Ready when you are.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Oh, and then, yeah.
Oh, motion to
Return
return
to work
to
session.
regular board, no, motion to return to regular board meeting.
oh, we're going. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we can return to work session.
We need a motion to return. to
No.
work session.
Now we've adjourned the meeting. We're just going back to work session.
He's here.
Okay.
Do we want to finish this conversation off and get a little more clarification in overall?
I would like to.
Okey doke. Let's go back to Music on Main.
There are the dates.
The first Thursday in June, June 6th, to the last Thursday in August, August 29th. It's been like that. I've been involved for maybe 4 years, and it's been like that since it began. So I don't know why there's any fuss about the school being in session.
I'll defer.
That's not true, because when it was first originally set up, the whole idea was that it was not going to start until after school was over.
Well, that's changed since I've been involved and since.
That changed somehow, some way, somewhere, but that's not the way the original Music on Main was set up.
Why
Is
would
there an
you-
agreement?
Why would
Is there
you
an
be
agreement?
objecting to going to school? So I've got Williamsville South playing here in Roxbury. They played for last
The whole
week.
idea was it's the end of school, it's exams and everything else. I mean, that was one of the,
Was that a public ask? Was it, I mean, I thought you said that was like
when
the
the whole
residents
thing
wanted.
was, when the whole thing was being discussed, that was part of the talk, when people commenting on it. And then again, when that one year when there were a couple instances where they were going a little early and people were complaining about the noise in general. With the Island Park, that the complaints that the whole rigmarole that's spawned from the whole Island Park issue that one year. And it came up again that Music on Main should not be starting before school started. And I don't understand how, I don't get how that happened.
I don't either, because before me was Chris Young, and I know he was the first week in June too. So when did it change?
That may have, I don't know,
I
maybe
think
that's
it's
when it
like
changed
15
because,
years, so maybe it changed after. I don't care. How's that?
well, but you guys aren't the ones getting the complaints. We get complaints.
Okay.
So it's running 13 weeks?
Yes.
Do you have it during
Not
the week of Old Home Days?
Yes. Some of the places won't do it, like Sorrentino's, but the Jolly Boys told me the more the merrier to do it. So I leave it up to the venues, just like, and just to correct, I was listening to the meeting on the thing too. I don't book all the bands, Stan, I think you know that, you know?
Well, I don't know. I mean, but, we weren't sure. We're not hearing anything from the president. We're not hearing anything from, are you organizing the Music on Main?
Yeah.
Essentially, you're the organizer.
In other words, all the big boys, Sorrentino's, Irishman, Glen Park, Eros, White Tackle, Winnick.
Understood.
They all book their own bands and they pay their bands.
Okay. So I apologize. I
No
misspoke
problem,
there.
I'd like to take credit for it. But I book more Pam Roxbury, Kevin A. Diavolos. I take care of all the banners. I don't know if we're gonna do the meeting house this year, but I gotta make sure that I go and unlock that, let the guy in and close it up. And put the barricades up and take them down, and make sure all the ads get into the beat every week. This is all, by the way, volunteer, so you know.
And then the fees that you collect offset the expenses at the WBA
Yes.
and then goes towards the scholarship.
Yeah, we charge the $350 to the big boys. A lot of them, the Avolios, they're sold out crowd is 20 people. I charge them 150, I think 200. Elderwood, I think we charge 100 a quarter. Because now they've changed it every other week. They're probably gonna want to even less, and they cut the hours back. So according to the place, how big it is.
We're not concerned about that.
Yeah, how many participants this year? How many participants have confirmed this year? How many venues like will
Nobody's
be?
been confirmed, because I'm waiting to find out what we're doing, you know what I mean? And that's why Trey was pushing me, because we want to get the forms all out to not just the participants, but I'm not looking for any more participants at this point. The guy that owns that big hotel, what's the name of it? I can never remember the name of it. The Wyndham. The last guy wanted to do jazz in there and he sold the place. So I don't know if they want to do jazz. To be honest with you, I think we'll just cool it for this year and get through this year with what we have. Some people have hinted they might drop out. I don't know how true that is even. Grapple is open. I think business isn't that great, so I don't know if it's just, anyway. I'll find all that out. Mid-March is when I start connecting with everybody. So I plan on doing that. But I thought regret this up today when I spoke to you, Mayor. When I spoke to Jeff and the message, damn it. Do what we had said, go back, and the big debate was gonna be, we'll pay you for the bulk, we're hoping to get.
Right, so the question was 1,000 or 1,500
Right,
tonight.
right, yeah. The only other, like I say, I keep reminding everybody, I'm not a member of the WBA. They just came to me to help organize it and book some of the town.
And that's still the question, because that's what we discussed earlier. We can move on it this year, and I'd like to see 1,500 as the cost for
See, that'll be.
the venues
Yeah.
and for the weeks involved. And then next year we can work on, Dan doesn't, you don't want to separate it, right? You still want to do it
We
this
can
way?
talk about that
We can
later,
talk about
Chris.
that
Yeah.
another time.
About next year.
Next year we'll work on that. We'll
Yeah.
start working on next year, next month.
Mhm.
Because we'll have to.
Well, once again, I don't know if you're going to vote whether to go 15 or 1,000, or if it's 15, I can't say, okay, I can bring it up at the WBA meeting. I believe it's on Wednesday.
When we make the decision, it'll be what it is, and you just have to tell them, Eddie.
We had a couple questions that came up were how many outdoor venues were there per week? That's one of the questions that came up.
All right, well, you got 6, you can just look at it and you can figure it out, but you got 6 outdoor places.
6 outdoor places, not 12. So
And then you've got a couple that are like Diavolios, the Eagle, if it rains, they can move it inside.
Right.
Moorcat can't do that, Kathy Bloom can't do that, the Irishman can't do it, if it rains.
Irishman does it.
Pardon me?
Yeah, Irishman does it.
Sometimes they don't.
I played in there last time we played.
If they've got a smaller, if they just got that front of the thing filled up,
Well, this was all the way in the back.
okay, all right.
Bill did it.
Okay.
So
They-
just bring that up.
Irishman on Music on Main does it outside.
Yeah, but Jim is just saying right now, if it rains, they move it inside.
In the back room,
City
I've seen it.
Good
Right,
for
but
them.
how many venues have outside amplified music? That's the question.
6, 7, 8, 6, 7. Count Elderwood.
Okay,
But that's not the village.
that's not good. So 8 venues always are outside.
Is Diavolio still a village?
Yes.
Hi-Fi Hits comes back while they're indoors anyway.
Yeah, the village starts at
Union.
Union.
Yeah, they're outside.
Okay, all right. Crazy, how did I say crazy?
So, I mean, I'm just trying to put this in a better perspective and make this, because it came, our debate was between 15 and 1,000, right?
Yes.
And And then we started doing math and then doing it per venue, and Jim was calculating like if there was 12 sites, but there's not 12 sites. The only ones we can charge for an outdoor amplified music permit are the ones that are outside.
Right.
So if that's, that's 9,
Say,
8.
Yeah.
Right. So, if we're doing it, what's it per then? And then another thing came up in the discussion was the dates, And I think, I think that maybe that's a crappy conversation, but that's one we need to have. About what? About the dates, about the span of it. About the span of it, when it starts, what date it starts.
Well, I would think at this point, it's gonna start on June 6th. You wanna change it for next year, fine. I've already got Williamsville South. I really don't take any blame for that, because when I got involved.
No,
No, it's
nobody's
not.
blaming anybody. We're just trying to figure out how that happened.
When you get called,
What's it?
when you get complaints, how many complaints do you really get?
Oh, enough to say it's a problem. Well, you want an exact number? I mean, foil it.
No, I don't want an exact number, I just think sometimes it's a little exaggerated. And I've been there, don't forget, I'm a concert promoter.
Yeah, and don't forget that I've been in office for spanning 13 years and I get stopped on every single corner to talk about something. And the amplified music is probably in the top 5.
Does it beat the dog poop one I heard last week?
See how that goes.
All right,
All
so,
right.
we're getting off track.
Well, as far as between 15 and 1,000, I'll have to get, and when you say you don't have to get, okay, it's either that or nothing, I don't know is that your rule? You say 15 is 15?
Yes,
Okay,
that's
so
what we said
well-
as a board.
Okay. Well, I think you're making a mistake.
No, that is not.
We're not saying, but the
Right, now-
figure we set is what it's gonna be, Eddie.
Well-
You can't keep coming back and forth and trying
Well,
to
we
change
haven't
it
been
every
coming
week.
back and
We're-
forth. We wanted it to stay the same, because it started out at.
Okay, Eddie, you're not helping.
Whatever, we know all that.
Yeah, but what
Times have
we're trying to
changed.
do is, we're trying to, from a very well-attended event weekly into, that outside, people, a lot of people from outside the village attend. We're just trying to make sure that taxpaying village residents see some benefit from it. And that's why we are even having the conversation.
So
So,
along the lines of the 15 versus 1,000, and I told you how I felt about the fact that, the discussion we had last week, I thought, or last meeting was a good, step out point for more than a few things when it comes to the WBA. We also were discussing 1,500, thinking that there were 12 or 13 outside venues every week.
for 10 weeks.
Which is not the case.
Right, we
So I'm
just,
gonna put that out there because I'm gonna stick to my vote is 1,000 for this year.
well, are we voting? It's work session.
No, we can't
We
vote.
can't
in
vote at
work
work
session.
session.
Sure, you can.
We
Sure
can?
can.
Oh, I thought you couldn't.
I got a question.
New York state law does not recognize any distinction between work session and regular. session. It's simply an
Eddie, when you're talking about
organizational
the
issue
eight,
that
I can't hear you.
When you're talking about the 8,
Right.
the 8 venues, are you including Rock Street on that?
I'm doing Rock Street on sound, and if it rains, Rock Street stuff.
Right, but as far as the 8 is concerned,
Yes.
you're including Rock Street.
Yes, I am.
All right. I think that's a disqualifier for, the way I'm looking at this, because I'm looking at it, businesses generating money by having this thing. And Eddie, this is my perspective on it, and help me out here, because this is the way I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at it from both sides because I benefit from both sides, all right? But if it was 8, and you're having 12 weeks of an event, and you multiply that, or 13, and then that's, 96 events or whatever, you divide that into 1,000, that's $10.40 for each of those venues per event.
Right.
I don't think that's a lot of money. Especially when I'm talking about these restaurants that are really benefiting from this crowd.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's my perspective, and am I wrong?
Right, no, you're not wrong. And that is the deal the way it's been up until now, and hopefully still, is a great deal for the venues. For the $350.
Oh, yeah.
They're getting the permit, they're getting all that advertising, all the posters, all the flyers, and,
Oh, for
that's
but
a
as
great
far
deal
as-
for the buyers.
Yeah, but as far as the mayor's permit is concerned.
Right.
If I want to have a party in my yard.
Right.
And I want to have a live band, I need a mayor's permit to do that.
Right.
For the audio.
And
I gotta pay $40.
Right.
50.
It's more than that.
Went up
$50.
50 for a resident.
So if I want to do that 10 times.
Right.
I gotta pay that.
Right.
You
So
know,
maybe next year,
well,
I can tell everybody,
Yeah.
you gotta take care of your own permits.
I'll also say,
And that cuts
Yeah.
this kind of crap.
You should do that
So-
anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly.
I also want to
You
say.
should do that.
you know,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
want to say.
absolutely. You don't need to be in between all this.
Absolutely. In
No.
fact, I was thinking of
That's-
resigning.
I know.
You
It's
know,
awful.
For the record,
yes,
you shouldn't have to be in this position.
That's what I said.
correct.
Yeah.
Well, that was my point when I said that, when I was talking,
I totally,
it was like a disconnect.
like, even with the bands, I'm afraid for this to go on record. I say to them, they're booking themselves, I said, as a favor to me, I'm like, you pay for it, can you hold 1 or 2 slots for me?
Yeah.
Put some of my favorite bands in, the steam up, get them in. I had to wring her arm to get that gig, and the same with Vincent, Professor Antonio, and Morca. And they're all letting me down. I go to Sorrentino, I've already got the whole season booked.
But you're forced in a position to represent when they should be here themselves. They should have an organizational structure where they're sending, the vice president or the president and
Right.
from the WBA.
And that's what I was saying.
And
I did
the
not say
only
this
reason I'm
eloquently as
fighting for the
trustee
1,000 as opposed to the 15 for this year is for the WBA, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, and I don't want to get the attitude where I just say, I don't care, do what you want to do. Yeah.
No, I understand it. It's an
I'm
eventful.
sympathetic to this
Okay.
position.
So where are we? I'm at, on the dollar amount. I'm at 15.
We just take a roll vote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
roll.
Okay.
Okay, music on main, and this is, what do we call it, Chip? Payment in lieu of,
Well, why don't you decide what you guys want to do? You probably should actually do it and put it on the agenda at the next meeting, unless for some reason you need to.
Okay.
Just so people have noticed that you're doing this. I mean, everybody's already left.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just tell.
I mean, legally, I'm not telling you you absolutely can't do it, but I think you might want to consider it.
well, what would
You
we
may
call
want
it?
to decide among yourself, but actually put it.
What are
on
we
the
gonna call
agenda.
it? Payment in lieu of individual mayor's permits? So that we get, there's no confusion on what is,
Excuse me. So you can call it whatever, so what you're proposing to do is charge a flat season long fee of $1,000 or $1,500 per venue, is that?
no,
For the entire series for everybody.
for
For all
the,
participants, at
Thursday.
least to our
for
WPA.
music on main, Thursdays only.
Thursdays, yeah.
Who's applying for the permit?
The WBA.
WBA.
So I am going to, is it okay for me to alert all the people and all the participants and all my future sponsors, current sponsors, future ones, that we're gonna keep the same deal with everybody. The $350 isn't it? And then the question is now is whether we, the WBA, pays you 1,000 or 15.
Correct.
I mean, I said, the 1,000 is the most we can do. I'll I'll pay another 500 just to get it.
No,
done.
Eddie, you don't need to do that. I mean, Mr. Celeste, Trustee Celeste had the perfect solution, you know. He actually sat down and mathematically figured out how much it is. When you say $10, it's like buying a drink.
Yeah, those-
You know, it's, you know, Eddie, they need to understand
Well, I'm
that.
telling you right now, next year, I'm not gonna.
You're not, and it will be different next year, and you shouldn't be involved.
So this year, I'm going to.
Okay.
Go by and do all you're going to decide whether it's 1,000 or 15.
Yes.
Where are you?
And the sooner you know.
Jim's at 1,000.
Pardon me?
I'm at 1,000.
So,
So they've got three to two. So it's gonna be 1,000.
Okay, that's good.
And we're not,
We'll prepare a resolution.
we'll prepare a resolution. Okay.
I forgive you for getting me out of my pajamas and unshaved.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
I wish you would have worn your pajamas.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie.
Bye, Eddie.
I don't believe it. You said you don't go to bed till 2 in the morning.
3, yeah.
And you
but you
said-
see your pajamas at 8?
No, it's like.
Still. What?
Eddie will never be the same without you, let me
Yeah,
tell you.
definitely.
I love seeing you.
Too
Yeah.
much information, huh?
You do a great job. So you're much appreciated despite all this mess.
Sorry for
Yeah.
the confusion, but just like you said, and with that, like when Trish and Jim were here, right? Those are 2 people I would love to see it more involved.
Yeah.
Especially Jim.
Yeah.
Right? He's a newbie. I know he's busy with his thing, but he lives here, you know, and that's.
Yeah, good
where-
idea too.
I don't want to sour that. That was a good meeting.
Now, I might, your next thing is going to, your next problem, whatever you want to call it, is going to be, I am telling them, and I'm gonna remind them that it stops at 9, you can't go to 9:15.
Right.
And to keep it down a little bit, when you got it all set up at 11, turn it down to 10. But, and I'm gonna remind them this, the mayor's bulk permit that we're buying from the village covers Thursdays.
That's it.
June, July, and August, not Mike DeVito's September lineup, you know what I mean? And rationales, I love them all. I love Ed Weiner, seriously, he's a great kid. He's,
Yeah.
uh,
But they want to bring it in on Sunday now.
they're going to be
No,
playing, and they're
I
gonna
don't want
start doing Wednesdays. I mean, they got the perfect setup there.
Yeah.
And I don't care, you know, but
Yeah.
that's where the village can make a little bit of money, even if
Right.
you're only charging
Yeah.
40 or 50 or 60. And
Again,
what
Eddie-
they'll tell you, we own stage 1 for quite a while. Harvey, never bring up his name, I would say.
He who must not be named.
With the fires, yeah, never mind.
Well, but that's the thing too. I mean, and I'm not joking when, you know, like you said, you can't get, I can't get very far in a walk. And, you know, it is one of the issues that comes up.
Yeah.
Especially in the summer.
We
Why are
do.
these bands so loud? Why are they playing so long? You know, are we listening? Do we have bands every night now?
Right.
I mean, when the place down the street here, to not be named right now, started Monday nights all of a sudden. No permit.
Right.
You know, so it's a free for all.
That's what
Yes.
it turned into. It has turned
And
into
people
that.
don't want that.
They do
People
not.
don't want they want vibrancy, but it can't.
With some
you know,
boundaries. You need some boundaries.
Oh,
and-
absolutely.
I mean, you got to find a happy medium.
Yeah.
And music somewhere in the village almost every night isn't a happy medium.
Believe
It's
me, I
not.
know.
No,
And
it's
I also
not.
know the difference between, when we do a concert out at Rich Stadium or Eddie Augustin, we would get a bunch of complaints from Ozzy, with kids. But we'd also get 60,000 people that said, what a great night that was, what a great event, you know?
And they're not paying taxes.
Right.
Thanks.
Talk about the school tax. What if you don't have children?
Yeah.
Yes, that's next door.
Okay, local people link update, there is a complaint log that's been generated, has been kept in the administrator's office. And we are addressing, People Inc. they are addressing several other complaints. The boat has been removed from the site. It was
Where did the boat
being
come from?
stored there. We have no
Did you see that? It
idea.
was hilarious. Huge boat.
I mean, was it already there?
was a boat.
No, it
Why would
wasn't
they-
already there.
Some
Somebody just
contractor
brought it
from the
in.
South Towns, had to go
Yeah.
fishing in Lake Ontario, it's
So-
halfway.
It was the weirdest
That's
thing.
that's been removed.
Loker behind.
At Bloker?
Yeah,
There was a boat.
Ah.
Back.
That's what I'm saying, some guy brought his boat out of storage.
I have a picture of it, yeah, it's huge.
Two of every kind of animal.
OCR.
But they were all old.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Good night, Eddie.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cleveland.
A little bit of the king.
Eddie has left the building.
That way.
They are gonna put the screening back up on the fence along the Village Point Lane side. That did blow down over the winter. So that will give a little coverage of the construction going on the site. And we are working, as everybody knows from our last discussion, on the noise and the time frame for noise. They have been they've been mostly accommodating in not starting up the heavy equipment until 8 a.m. There was a snafu last week when it started at 7:05 a.m., but they have been very courteous for the last month and a half, pretty much, of not starting the heavy equipment up until 8 a.m. They do have to stage everything, so you will hear beeping. They do stage, but they're not really running the heavy equipment in the hammer until 8 a.m. They do still have to excavate. It's the excavation portion, the painful portion. So, and it should be completed by September. We do have received an updated construction plan that is on the website yet. Posted on the website yet? It will be posted on our website. And as we receive updates, we'll post those as well, just so.
No changes though, right, Chris?
We received an update for March. So it's a new one received last week, so.
Do they
There's
involve changes?
No, there's no changes. It's just the schedule.
Okay.
What
all right.
the
I'd
scheduled
like to know too.
construction for that month or that time frame is. They're gonna try to get them to us monthly, so we know where they're going, what stage they're at on site, for the already permitted and authorized construction.
Because I do remember they were gonna work on the interior of the existing building.
They are.
and- Are they doing
Yeah,
that?
they're gutting that right now. They're
Is
gutting
it?
that.
All right,
So they are. So that'll be on the website as soon as
that'd be nice.
this week.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah,
This week.
for sure.
So the residents can see that.
Is that main building being torn down? Or?
No,
Oh,
just
it's
renovated.
Just
Okay.
renovated.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question along those lines.
Mhm.
When it comes to big equipment being run, do you need, speaking of my top 5 complaints, I can give you number 1. One of the reasons I can't go for a peaceful walk in my neighborhood anymore, stopped, is if someone owns, say, a piece of construction equipment, like a backhoe or something like that, and they run it like they would their lawnmower, is that legal in the village? Does that fall under some weird thing? Because
Putting on their driveway? or
I
something?
haven't really been able to get a solid feeling on no.
No?
Some people have Tonka trucks.
Well, we have an idling law in the
Well,
village. You
No,
can't-
it's not an idle.
Well, it's not
It's not
an
a New York
actual-
State law. We don't, it's not.
That's what everybody's citing for the bloker for the
Yeah.
disturbance.
Yeah.
So it's 11
73G.
PM, all right, so it doesn't matter. So someone could run a backhoe in their backyard and move rocks around all day and it doesn't matter.
Well, no, I mean, so
Permit?
you're saying they're doing this during the day?
They're doing it whenever,
Is that kind of just like
Easter
a
Sunday.
continuous attempt at feng shui?
I'm thinking like big, yeah, like large feng shui. It's,
It only
the
specifies
fences
a
are
few
high,
specific
so
items.
no one's been able to see
What-
anything.
We
but-
can't see
Noise
it?
code?
No,
But it is
actually,
my
there's a
main-
number, but what's weird is I actually don't know why there's any hours where it's permissible to create or permit the creation of any loud noise which disturbs the public peace.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right, because
That's
disturbing the
the point.
public peace is illegal.
Right.
Yeah. it's a
All the
good
way up to
point.
11 p.m.
Right.
That's really late, isn't it?
So-
That's really late.
And obviously we changed it at one point in
2009.
2009, which I would have been around then. I would have started
So what would constitute?
disturbing the public peace.
Disturbing
I
the
mean,
public
that's the-
peace,
that's
yeah,
the-
that's-
It's a
It's
nuisance
interpreted.
standard, which is
But-
very, very difficult to,
Is running your lawnmower an example of that?
probably not, because
Because-
everybody does that.
But that's specified under this code. Lawnmower is under 733C.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And I believe that can't start legally until 8 o'clock.
8 a.m.
8 a.m. yeah.
Or
9
recreational
p.m.
vehicle, chainsaw, or log splitter. Those are the 4 things that are specifically identified
So,
let's see what it used to say.
for
so we have pieces of equipment.
8
that
a.m.
are
to 9 p.m.
Specifically designated.
that you can run from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Everything else,
I
Well,
can't go
board,
back that
I
far.
think that, that part of the code may need a,
Update.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it-
well, if we're doing this part of the code anyway, we might just
Right,
wanna,
we might
I
as
may
well
wanna
look at it.
amend that to just, right, just change G, just take the hours out.
Yeah.
As long as you recognize the problem is, okay, what does it mean to disturb? But it's already in there anyway,
but so,
disturbing the public peace. Somebody's gonna have to go to court and the judge is gonna have to decide whether that noise is such that it would disturb the public peace. But we can write them up if we think, we think it's disturbing public peace.
so, but Ben brings up a point that fuels my line of thinking even more. We have actual pieces of equipment that are designated.
Yeah.
What defines a large piece of equipment?
well, it
Well,
doesn't,
it doesn't
say
It
that.
says
By
a
size.
lawnmower or recreational vehicle or a chainsaw or a log split.
Log splitter. I gotta get my log splitter out.
That's what you
So
can
is
use.
that the
So that's what you, or put another way, that's what you
So is that
cannot
acceptable,
use
like,
between 9
neighborhood-
PM and 8 AM.
standard pieces of equipment? Snow blower, small two-cycle engines, 10 horse, whatever that's called, lawnmower engines.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't talk about blowers, weed
Blowers can be
whackers,
bad. Weed whackers can be
small
bad.
construction equipment.
Small construction equipment or industrial equipment, because it's an issue.
Well, let's,
I think his
Well-
idea of the public peace,
Alright, that doesn't,
It's
it's
awfully
not,
general.
it is, but at the risk of, on the other hand, it's like, so you're gonna try to identify
yeah,
every piece of equipment that,
I don't think you want to go that way.
No, you don't wanna go that way, but isn't there a cutoff point? I mean, I could have a log splitter and then I could have a log splitter. I mean, I could have a chipper that's the size of your piece, your shredder in my driveway, and every time I wanna get rid
Right.
of some brush, I
the other
fire
way,
that up.
the more sensible way
Yeah,
to do it
branch.
probably, but again, you need
But
some
the-
way to enforce it is to simply have a decibel limit.
Yeah.
We've gone down that road
Operate
before.
Equipment that
It could
generates
be anything.
the noise at above whatever decibel level, but
If you have
Yeah.
a neighbor who has a pool and they blare their stereo all day
yeah.
yeah, well, that's covered by.
Moving rocks.
So
That's
there's-
amplified.
There's create any loud noise or amplified sound associated.
All right, let's look at that. Okay, let's look at that. Maybe the decibel level is a good way to go, Jim. Good point.
But I don't know what
Because-
that decibel level should be. I mean, that's the
Right.
thing. You may need
Well-
some, that may require some
Well,
We
research as to
there's-
what the,
You know,
do you remember doing this back the last time this code was revised? We talked about that ad nauseum.
85.
With-
85 decibel, well, 85.
Around decibel level?
Yeah, well, how to define it, what's it gonna be, who's gonna have the decibel meter,
Well, it's on your phone now. I have one on my phone. It's an app. And
It's an app?
It's an app. There's an app. I use it for work.
Really?
Right.
How about the smell of diesel every morning?
Yeah, well, we gotta look at that for a while.
Well, they have one.
Can I leave my?
Come to my shop.
Oh, I can't handle it. This is from Loker though. It's like I can't leave the house.
All right.
I can smell the airport some mornings.
I smell the
Yeah.
airport too, but this diesel was really bad the other day. It was like really strong, like it was a spill.
Pressure wave.
Is that how they do it?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not as
I
accurate
think
as
it's
an
wrong.
actual pencil.
It's not as accurate, but it's very close because I've tested
And
them.
then the question with decibel is then where you measure that?
Property.
Right.
Property boundary?
Exactly how, what's the
Oh my
distance, yeah.
gosh.
But you
All right.
need, if
Answer
you're
to
gonna
any
do
of
that,
this.
you need the ability to, maybe the town has that. I don't know. You know, I should look, do they have, what is the town's noise?
They have
ordinance?
very similar.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll look at.
I think that's where we used to come up with the decibel number
And I
back,
would
back in
really
the
advise
day.
everybody to look to chapter 73, it's one page, 73.3, prohibited noise.
And
So.
just to be
we
clear,
all
the
understand it.
DPW is exempt from that, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Thank you.
I think that's like.
My guys would love to start at 9 a.m.
J.
When I'm gone, nobody touch
Noise,
that
all right,
dog
so the
barking
town,
ordinance. We have a nice
the
one.
town, just, so similar to RG, if we took the hours out, the town simply says it shall be unlawful for any person to make, continue, cause to be made, or permit to be made any unreasonable noise within the geographic boundaries of the town of Amherst, or within areas
that
of which
mean?
the town is jurisdiction. Basically, a nuisance
Unreasonable.
noise level, but they don't specify. Then they said the determination as the existence of unreasonable noise may be established by the specific acts enumerated in 138.5. So that's where they went through their decibel levels. Snow removal equipment.
Yeah, who defines
So-
unreasonable?
Well, the court does. So they do have decibel levels, noise level by land use, it's actually fairly, for noises not defined as a violation of items A through O of 138.5 until the unlawful or any person to operate or permit to be operated any stationary noise source in such a manner as to create a sound pressure level in decibels which exceeds the limits set forth for the receiving land use category in table 1 when measured at the property boundary. So for residential, between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m., maximum permissible sound level of the receiving land use is 70, for residential 75 for non-residential. Between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., it's 50 and 50. That's if the source is residential. If the source is non-residential, it's actually fairly similar levels. So, theirs is considerably more elaborate. If the village wants to adopt that,
I
that's
think it's
something
something to explore.
Yeah, I do
Or
too.
I'll email.
We have, that's one of the parts of our code that has a hole in it,
Mhm.
holes. But don't touch the dog. Or we can just adopt the dog ordinance, like barking ordinance.
What code, where is it in
It's
the?
chapter 138. I'm emailing a link to everybody.
All right, thanks. Yeah, so we'll look at that in our, discuss it.
The dog ordinance says, dog shall not bark something along the lines like any longer than to affect the repose of the neighborhood. Has no time limit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that
Cops
was,
don't like being reminded of that.
that was everything I had, except I did want to, the sanitary sewer at Main, 58, 51 Main and 58, 77. What were we gonna do with those? Are we going to walk them? Yeah.
Sorry.
Um,
Thing is, what about what sewer?
The sanitary sewers at,
Oh, that
Milo
private
and-
sewer line?
yeah, the private sewer line, were we gonna just?
I haven't,
There's no easement that we can find.
no, I know that, but has
Um,
anybody been in contact with the property owner?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I thought that those comments, because you included.
Oh, yeah, I
them as a
included those
comment,
comments
I
and
thought those were being forwarded to
they
the
are.
property
So
owner.
yes, they have been, the property owner or the petitioner, I guess that is the property owner, is aware of our comment. It doesn't preclude them from doing their addition of the garages.
Yeah, no, but it's
but-
at least on their,
It's on their radar, whether or not they're
do we
going
know
to
who their attorney is?
take action, I have no idea.
I mean, Sean Hopkins
Sean
got the
probably.
land use approval, I don't know whether he's representing them generally.
But It's in everyone's interest to have an easement on that property established.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my only question is, we would essentially,
Or abandon it.
I mean, it's a private sewer line on private property.
That was installed by the village at some point, but we just don't necessarily have,
Oh, so we put it in, but we didn't get an easement.
right, we don't necessarily have.
I mean, as
real
long as the
proof of
village
that.
is okay with assuming responsibility over it and they're okay, and I would think they would want that.
I would think the owner would too.
Yeah, and I can't see why they wouldn't want to give us an easement. It's not like it's running, especially since it's not like it runs underneath their building. It's just
Not-
running to the parking
Right,
lot.
not this one.
But it's certainly in their interest to offer somebody, particularly if it's the village, to service it if the need arises. But,
Okay, then we'll need an
but
easement.
who is the?
Who owns Capella's?
What? But this is.
No, it's Excuria.
Excuria, I'm sorry, I get confused.
Ellie's brother.
Ellie Greenhour, what's Greenhour?
Wait a
Tom?
minute, I thought this was
Paul Greenhour?
the former Milos.
It is, but he owns that building.
Oh, he does. He's the developer.
Yeah,
Him and
Him and
Sutton.
Dave Sutton.
It's Ellie's brother.
Carmina Woods or whatever, that's.
Well, that's the architect
Woods,
probably,
maybe.
right?
Dave's the architect.
Dave's partner.
No,
Okay.
Sutton's the architect, yeah.
Oh, well, at any rate,
There's a
I
starting
would
point.
imagine that would be in both sides' best interest, but I haven't
The
had
ball,
any communication, because I don't know who the property owner is or who their attorney is.
well, the ball is in their court based on that comment,
Right.
but that comment is, has no teeth or.
Yeah,
It's just sort of, it's sort of floating out there right now.
Mhm.
Depends on how aggressive.
How long's that thing been there?
67, I've got records of it, a drawing of it from 67 that shows an easement that was, to our knowledge, never filed because no one can find it. It's like deja vu.
As far as you know, has it ever been serviced?
Yes, the village wrote them a letter in 75 when it was
Oh,
Pizza
that's
Hut.
right.
Mhm.
Yep,
Pizza
yep,
Hut was-
yep, I remember you sent an email.
Yep, they were dumping grease down it. That's how I found out
Yeah,
that we may have some sort of connection to it.
Yeah.
We threatened to shut down Pizza Hut because of their grease accumulation.
Okay, I think
Shut
we,
down the hut.
yeah,
Well, they didn't survive, so.
No, they
yeah,
didn't.
I think, we should pursue that then. I mean, of an easement, we should.
Unless you want to abandon it, which I'd be
Unless-
So,
happy to have you do.
It's just those two properties.
Yep. And then they need to figure it out amongst themselves, right, to do
they
it.
would either have to individually, which is probably what they should, tap into the sewer main in Main Street,
Well, at
right?
least
Or is there not a sewer main?
at that point, I don't believe there is, and I don't have CAD right now, so I can't even.
So that's the way it should.
That's why. they did it
Otherwise,
that
really, they should, because it's a one sewer line on private property serving multiple properties, it really, of course, this is from 1967, but if you tried to do that now, they would have to do what Asher Crossing did, which is create a sewage works corporation. Under the transportation law. But,
If we abandon it, that's what they'd have to do?
yeah, and then that would be their responsibility.
So we're in effect giving it to them?
Well,
Handing it off.
I mean, I think
Responsibility.
effectively it was
Yeah, I mean, we
given
haven't-
to them probably.
many years ago. I mean, I've never done anything with that line since I got here.
Is it functioning?
Well, apparently, I mean, there's not been a whole lot of flow in it lately. So,
But that building isn't open yet.
yeah, it's not open yet. I don't know what what it looks
Well,
like
are they
inside.
tying into it?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And I mean, I haven't heard anything from the neurologic building, right, that's UV Neuroscience. So they're not having issues, so I assume it works.
So it's 3 properties.
Two.
So,
UV Neuroscience and
Milos.
Milos.
There's gonna be a.
But the old
considerable
Friendlies
amount of use
wasn't,
Coming up.
that wasn't Pizza Hut, the Neuros.
Or maybe that was Pizza Hut, yeah. Pizza Hut, then Friendly's, then
Right.
Mhm.
Neuroscience.
And the neuro.
Friendly is next.
So perhaps we
Same
should
building?
abandon
They
it
went to-
There's 3 buildings.
since we haven't been,
It only services 2 properties. That's all we need to know.
The green building on the corner full. Is that in the mix?
No.
then the UB building is the one next to that. It's that building
It's that building
and Milos.
and Milos, yes,
And it runs across Milos.
yes, through their
Yeah,
parking
it
lot.
runs. Interrupt my brother.
18 feet from their building.
It's right, there's the building, it just runs right behind the building, right across the parking lot.
Someone took a shortcut.
Yeah, they did. There is sewer on the other side of
Although
Main.
I just assume, I mean, that's what's weird, I can't believe, I just assumed there was a sewer main running all
No,
the way
because
down Main Street.
Hirschfield goes south, Highland goes south, Full goes south,
I
and they,
gotcha,
and they
so-
turn right and go west to catch up to Garrison and then go by your
Well, it
house.
was a lot easier to dig to the park.
It was a lot easier to go that route back then instead of going across Main Street.
Because Milos, or the little White House, has been there.
Right.
Mhm.
Took the path of least resistance. So again, I don't think we should be owning public infrastructure on private property.
Right,
I don't think so either.
right.
I agree.
Is this your recommendation?
That is the Department of Public Works recommendation, yes.
To abandon it. And what do we need to do to abandon it?
Well, it's not, we're not abandoned, I mean, it's not ours, it's,
So we just ignore it.
well, no, we need to, because we need to be. They need to create a sewage works corporation, we do have to consent to that. You know, we did that for Asher. It's
All right,
sort of a
we're just
weird
one-
thing, I mean, I'll have to figure out, I mean, from a legal perspective, I mean, if we wanted to assume or maintain responsibility for it, then it's just a matter of easement.
That's the easy route.
That's the easy route from a getting it done perspective. But if the village, and I don't disagree, does not want to be responsible for this sewer line running across private property, then it's a little bit more complicated procedurally, but it's doable.
Okay, why don't we get this?
But I gotta figure out, I mean, the fact that it's been there for 50-something years, it's not something I've ever encountered before.
Boy, did you ever think there'd be this kind of a
Sorry,
ride this
Chip.
year?
I mean,
Do you want to talk about all the other easements in the village now? Is this the time?
One at a time.
All right, all right. I like the way you think. We got one that does go under a building.
Sanitary?
Yep. No, we have no easement.
Okay, let's look into this one, Chip, get us what we need so we can review it, and let's look at this process and get the process going. Okay? Gee, oh my goodness, okay, I'm not bringing up one more thing. Deputy Mayor Delano. Okay, well, you did committee updates then.
I did, just, but I guess I did touch on everything, but, I got, an email or something that's come up over different, throughout time, but I'm thinking about approaching it a different way, about a crosswalk on, a flashing beacon crosswalk somewhere near Cadman on Worley, which, it was from a resident who, has kids that crosses, has to cross Worley on a regular basis. Makes total sense. Part of the problem there is that there's no sidewalks on Cadman, and Eric in that section. But nonetheless, it doesn't necessarily have to be at the corner of Cadman. The whole idea of mid-block crosswalks is just that, mid-block. You're stopping cars coming from two directions rather than, 3 or 4 with an intersection involved. But, so I'm gonna give the county a call and see what they might be thinking there. It's, actually, Highland or Monroe and, what else is it?
Leads right up to the
Or
side.
not Highland, but, yeah,
Columbia.
and Monroe, they're all cut off.
Yeah, Monroe, Columbia, Highland, Hirschfield, all kind of.
There's the only signal there is up near Ingram Micro. And and then you have the cluster up at
Worley and Garrison there.
With the yield, which is pretty unsafe to try to
Yield
cross
is-
if you've ever tried to
It's
cross
horrible.
those.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm gonna call the county and see what they might be thinking there. You know, if not, if it's a joint venture, or maybe, I don't know, maybe they'd be willing to do something there. It's their road. They're the one that turned it into a, crossing lane, you know. I'd also like to ask them for 30 miles an hour there. Ben and I discussed 30 miles an hour through the village, but we'll see where that goes.
Okay.
Yeah, does it support the argument on Worley there that that neighborhood high school is the Williamsville South, which they have to cross the street?
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
state
absolutely.
streets to school.
Yeah, right,
Mhm.
right, exactly. So, I mean, but I'm not gonna go in, you know, blazing on it. I think the county's pretty reasonable and
They'll probably tell us to do it, and they just want to, they'll just give their blessing.
we'll see. It's their road.
Yeah. We did include that in our latest round of TAP grant applications. Just the idea of a crosswalk on Worley, so
Right.
that's at least in the state's hands right now to look at. And I'm sure they would bounce back to the comment, it's county road, blah, blah, blah.
Joint venture.
Yeah.
Joint venture problem solving.
Multiple jurisdictions for one goal.
And then, crosswalk at Milton and South KU, I mentioned it to you, just kind of, talking about, you know, the bids going back out, but there was, the state, did you ever hear anything back?
Yeah, we didn't have, there was nothing through the state. There was no grant, finance committee found nothing.
There was so there was a grant that was promised, the project was in the works,
And there was no,
never any money there.
It never happened.
And that got passed off to me to take care of because it was more my wheelhouse. And they said, but there was no money after that board member said that there was. That's great.
no record of it in
It's just, it never existed.
the state.
So we gotta do
finance.
something about that.
They don't talk.
What do we wanna, bids? Let's see where we're at.
Yeah, see where we're at, and then we'll ask again. We can resubmit. I mean, it's not like we can't submit a request and see what's out there and what's available.
Yeah, it's a little bit with the cart before the horse, but that's fine. We'll find out where the
Well,
pricing is.
I mean, we were at 60, I guess, at some point.
But
or
that's
another.
a
But
different
that was
location.
The different
Yeah,
location.
but it wasn't gonna get billed anyway.
Right.
Because there wasn't any money.
Exactly. So,
Yeah, well, if it had been in the last road project, it may have.
so with the new location, are we
The new
still at the
location.
250? Where are we
I
with
would
it?
say all of that, yeah.
Well, that's what it was, so we'll, you know.
Okay, we'll go on those numbers. Okay,
And, you know, we'll put it out. It's gonna cost us a little bit of money to put it out. You know that.
we'll just go, we'll just see what's available, and we know we're around 250.
Okay.
Well, it was around 250.
Yeah,
We'll see we'll see what everybody comes back with.
The stadium is not helping us, folks.
no,
Bad deal for all us small little fish who
Maybe we
can't
should
get a
go back
contract.
and talk to the state about this again.
Yep.
And,
yep, I think so. I'll see what
we got $850 million to dump on a stadium, maybe they could put a crosswalk in for it. Since it's driving up the cost,
okay,
or at least part of it, because we need to get that in.
All right, we'll get that on the street.
all right. Anything else? No, okay, trustee Tori.
All right, solar eclipse, I spoke about. I am meeting with the town of Amherst on Wednesday, the committee, so, I'll report back as to any new plans they have, any new updates. Green Up Williamsville, I have my sign. Ta-da.
Oh, those are nice.
This is a sign we want to use for the businesses.
That's nice.
Turned out very nice, isn't it?
That's cute, yeah.
So, Jeff, I'll probably bring one of those to the WBA meeting next week.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you want me to take a bunch of them?
No,
You don't
because
want to
they're only
hand out
gonna
them?
get them if they participate. See, that's the whole idea. If you participate in Green Up Williamsville, clean up your tree well, clean up the bioswales with garbage, like in front of Morpat, then you get a sign. If you don't do anything, you don't get a sign. And it's to basically, hopefully spur the other businesses who don't do anything to pitch in a little bit.
So you're gonna join me at the meeting?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All
And
right.
you'll bring the sign.
Okay, yeah,
So
I'll
I
bring the
need to
sign.
worry about it.
Yeah, I'll bring the sign.
Excellent.
Okay, food scrap program, which is really cool. Ben and I met with Ryan Licata from the town of Amherst, who is the Senior Refuse Control Officer, to talk about the spearheading of the food scrap curbside pilot program. And we had a great meeting, and actually Ben proposed, and I think it's gonna happen, that our DPW would pick up our own food scraps. And it would be during the same schedule as he does the brush and large metal, you call it?
Second and fourth Mondays.
And the way we're picking the people in the village is those who, as I mentioned, those who signed up at our village market to participate, they have been sent emails. And so far, which is kind of cool, okay, there are 840 total emails, 71 have responded from the town, and 17 from the village. So it's a nice small number so far. So it's only a pilot program. And eventually, if it's very successful and it grows, we can add more. But what we're asking is that the residents use how do you call it? Compostable bags.
Yeah, compostable bags.
Yeah, they have to have a certain code, which you can buy off of Amazon. So when they pick them up from the curb, they can toss them right into the landfill and it will decompose on its own.
We will, in this pilot program, I believe we should also require participants to have a small tote.
Yes, are we gonna supply those or not?
We need to purchase them and the participant needs to buy them from us.
Yes. So there'll be, little
So
food
that you don't
scrap
have a
totes. I think
plastic
that's
bag
awesome.
sitting on the curb.
Yeah. But they have to put the plastic bag in the tote and then the plastic bag will be removed.
That way it identifies to the employee, oh, there it is, okay. It's not all loose in there, it's in a
Right,
bag, we can
right, yeah.
move it and get on with our lives.
So there'll be
Now, what
certain,
do you do with it?
We will then take it to the town of Amherst compost facility on New Road.
yeah. Yeah, and, yeah, exactly. And it looks like it's gonna start around June. I mean, this is all a pilot program, so we're slowly, figuring this out when we're gonna start, but so far,
Probably we should not promise June because
no, we won't promise.
the
I'm
money
just telling
to
you guys.
buy the totes
Yeah.
is in 24 budget. So
Right.
it's then we have to buy the totes once
So what do you propose
once the
then?
budget passes. I mean,
Right.
I shoot for like July 2nd and 4th. I would
Still do the same?
I would carry that through the season. And again, it's a pilot program.
Right.
Yeah,
It may only need to be once a month.
Right.
I'd love that. And if we get to 2,000 households, we're not gonna be able to handle that.
no, that's where the town of Amherst may have to jump in.
So this is,
And we told them that,
yes, and they're aware of that.
yeah. So we told them if it's a small number, our DPW can handle it. If it really gets large, then they have to help out. We can't do it.
Right. And I will keep you
But-
abreast of our
Yeah.
progress.
But I'm really psyched that Ben is on board and Ryan Licata is great to work with, and I think we're gonna have this up and running. So I'm very excited. What else?
I guess my one question is that, are they going to continue the weekly Saturday market pickup?
Correct, yes, they will. Turn them away, like Cheektowaga, they come and bring it to the market. I know they shouldn't, but you won't turn them away, I would rather work with Cheektowaga, so they can do their own program, but
I'm gonna predict that it's heavy at first and then it drops off
we'll see.
Yeah,
because people realize how much food they actually waste.
Well, that's it, you have
Or
to
vice
explain to
versa.
them, it keeps the land, the usage of the landfill down. They save money by not throwing it in their garbage, it's all part of saving money for
Yeah,
your
but
municipality.
What's happened is just food scraps, right? So,
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
food scraps. And it's a lot though. I compost food scraps and I have a lot. I have my own bin.
But I think everybody just dumping their food scraps into the regular garbage.
It's
Then
not,
that they don't see how much food they actually.
oh, I know, you're
waste.
right about that. Absolutely. You're right. Yeah.
Or how much stuff they like.
Because
go
it
back
is,
in
you
the fridge 'cause they
peel a
overbuy.
potato and it's like, but anyway.
Well, that's what should be going, right? Potato peels and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
not the potatoes you don't finish on the plate.
No, nothing
That's why
cooked.
we have the
Plate.
We'll give a whole list of what can, even coffee grounds, eggshells, anything, no meat matter, just veggies, nuts, things like that.
Oh, there's no meat matter?
No meat matter whatsoever.
And we are not checking.
That's right.
Well, no meat
I
matter.
don't understand the meat matter because we take our roadkill to the exact
I
same pile.
know, but they're on, oh, please, I
You
know.
should go with me someday and see this.
I don't want to,
Oh,
Ben.
but
I don't want to.
okay.
When I saw
I
that
will.
deer on Whirly where all these crows were pecking at it,
All about
enforcement.
oh my God, I don't want to see it. Thank you. Oh, by the way, did you hear, Chris,
Meat
whenever
matter
a deer
checker.
got hit on Mill? Yeah. Anyway, and I just have one update, please, for the bathroom, so I can bring it to Glen Park.
yeah, we're working on it.
So should I give him, say anything?
I mean, they're there every day talking to my guy. They probably know what's going on.
Yeah, I wish they wouldn't do that,
Yeah,
honestly.
tell me about it.
Do you want me to tell him not to do
Yes.
that?
Don't take an hour
They
to talk
shouldn't
to
do
my
that.
guy working there.
Okay,
Like,
I agree
gotta
with
get
you.
Gonna be done, I don't know.
I won't.
You just stop talking to me.
Okay, I will pass that on. I really
We're
will.
working on it. I have a dedicated guy for it. I'm really hoping to have it done before the park's open.
All right, awesome. All right, thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, trustee Tori, trustee Han.
Where are we at with the stone?
They're holding it. Deb Higgs did email me and I let her know that the beautification, ballpark now, and they're gonna discuss it at tomorrow's meeting. So the stone is being held. Loker spoke to, Ann Catherine, and they're, very excited about donating it to the village.
Okay, so we're gonna put it on the north end of.
Where they haven't, that's tomorrow's discussion. They haven't decided. They're leaning towards it. They haven't decided. HBC would like to get involved once we do the marker, which would be great. They will have a lot of information for that.
And then, but the folks at Bloker are going to do the actual movement.
They'll do the movement of it, yes, unless you want it, Ben, and put it over at DPW and till we
I don't
move
want
it
it.
again, but I wanna minimize the moving. I don't wanna move it a bunch of times.
I don't want it in the first place. But
I thought it was going in the triangle.
it is.
It's there's beautification.
1812 beautification triangle extension
That was
road.
last communication to me was, when can I meet Ben there to place the stone?
Oh, no, I told her we're working through, once we know where it's going, then we'll start to get,
So
that
So tomorrow they will
logistics
decide
in
where
place.
they want it?
Yeah.
Okay. And
And
then
then let
we'll
us-
inform you? Or-
Yeah, let me know, and then we'll work with Ben and coordinate it with the site and get it moved.
Okay.
Okay. Because I don't know if you need to do anything, wherever they choose, if you need to do anything,
We shall find out.
okay?
I'm sure we will.
And then the bench for them?
Bench. It's coming.
Be asking me about it tomorrow. Just so you-
Yeah,
You wanna come tomorrow?
I've got the concrete ready for it. I could actually slap that together pretty easily because I do have painted slats as well. So we've been making a few of the bases here when we have free time. So I've got one ready for them.
You can join us at the meeting tomorrow.
When is that?
1
p.m.
Here?
Yeah.
They usually bring snacks.
They would like to see you.
My doctor
They'd
doesn't
love
want
to
me
talk
do
to
that.
you.
They would
Oh,
like
yeah, I
to-
know
they
they
would.
They want to bring you more cookies.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I gotta make more benches.
Valentine's
Sorry.
Day cookies?
They did.
Yeah, we'll have them a bench there quick.
Okay, great. And that is all for me. Except for one thing. I have a lot of just questions as far as the community plan goes. Just throwing that out there. I have both on the process and then of course on so
So
The meeting,
I don't know that we want to get into, I don't even have I have a list. I don't have
Okay.
it with me.
So, I mean, if you want to give me a call, that's fine. I'll be able to, but it's, essentially this, steering committee per se was just to make sure all the administrative issues are in place. And moving into with Wendy Salvati's, planning company. And she's the one that's handling all the public input. So we have 5 meetings total, right? Scheduled, there's
one
gonna be
with
5 meetings
businesses.
scheduled. For the 5 different areas in the village where they meet, and there will be essentially a questionnaire, and everybody puts their input in. Or, they may have questions beforehand or whatever, but, and then all that data gets collected and then put together in a nutshell, and then that all goes back to the community plan committee, the big committee. And then that's all part of that data of the public input is the basis for the whole thing. Without that, you essentially can't do it. So
did the email for the presentation go to all the board members for the community plan committee for the Wally and
The
and
larger
Kate?
committee?
Did where Wendy's going to present?
I didn't get one.
No, they probably weren't. I will include them. I can forward it that easy enough.
Can you please, because
Yeah.
I thought they were all included, because they could, you can go to that meeting, and that's where we're doing that's where it'll kind of be laid out, the process, and I thought you were all on that email, so I apologize for that. So let's get that forwarded to community plan update.
Okay.
That was sent on behalf of Wally and Kate. It'll be Monday, March 18th, 6:30 Village Hall. Which is that your meeting?
March 18th?
No, it's on the schedule. It's on the calendar.
Yeah, you got this one. All right, make sure everybody
Yeah, I
has
have an
that.
environmental meeting on the 18th.
I might have just sent it just to the committee and not,
I thought we were to stay out of those.
yeah.
Well,
Why
this
can't it
isn't
have
the,
environmental?
this isn't the one for the community, it's the one to update the community on what Wendy's role is. So I would like the board members to understand.
That's for the 18th, I can't be across the way with environment.
So
I
it's
gotta look back at it.
the introduction of Wendy Salvati, the planning consultant, to do the preliminary startup work with a brief overview of how the committee will proceed in developing community input into areas of concern, focus, and the present plan for the committee to review going forward. So, I mean, just as an observer, not, we're not going as, just, I won't be there. I won't be there because I already know what Wendy's doing, so I won't be there. And you don't necessarily have to be there. We know the process is, because we're sitting on the
This
steering
is the
committee.
big committee.
But this is the
first
big-
committee meeting.
right.
with Wendy. Right.
So if you want to go to that is, it'll explain, Wendy
Well,
will be explaining her role.
Are we not members of the big committee?
We are ex officio.
Ex officio.
But yes,
That means you
So, yeah.
can listen and not talk.
listen, make any decisions.
Right?
Which means we can't vote.
Well,
Right, because we,
No,
well,
You
we'll-
vote on
we
it
vote on
eventually.
it.
We're the one that ultimately.
later on, at the very
adopts it.
end, but not during their,
But I mean, during those meetings, we can attend, participate,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not vote.
Would not be a part of any decision.
right,
Essentially.
And they only do recommendations to you. They're not gonna vote anything in.
Yeah.
You guys do that.
You know, This kind of rolls back to some of my questions.
So
Okay.
when, I'm gonna go back to just to be, saying all along, we need to essentially know what's going on with it. And then if we have any duties that we need to take care of as the process moves along on an administrative level or on a board level, which there probably won't be too many, we'll just need to be basically managing or knowing what avenues to, being the ones with the contacts to make, to take the avenues we may need to take for certain situations or contacting certain people or whatever the case may be. But I'm gonna lean on what, I think Chip said the wisest thing about the whole thing with having the board members is, and as ex officio members, is that, there are times where, a municipality can get to the point where it's time for the board to adopt a community plan and there are board members that have no idea what's on it because they just weren't involved. So, that's kind of what, it's just making sure we're, informed at least.
Yeah, aware of what they're doing, what the recommendations are gonna be.
Right, and it's all based on that community input data.
Right.
And then the committee is the one that basically organize it, right? They put it into a package and then when everybody agrees on it, then we're the ones that adopt it.
Right. Okay, anything else?
I would reiterate, I do have
Other
a
questions?
number of questions.
It-
And hopefully at some meeting,
Why don't you, could you email those questions?
I'd have to write them down.
Oh.
I'd have to type them. I'm the slowest typer in my house. But I can certainly do that, yeah.
Yeah, just then we can address them. And some might be simple and some might take a little more looking, into.
Yeah.
Okay. Trustee Solas?
I'm all set.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. We have anything under department head reports? I think we already did those.
Yeah, I'm
I
good.
did.
Oh, thanks.
Thanks.
I moved it back an hour.
I was like, I'm like, wait a moment, I'm like, oh shit, it is 9:45.
Midnight special?
Just,